I still don't see a live anymore. It just says upcoming. Oh, there you are. Of course, when we're on a time crunch.
Oh, maybe that was
Of course,
why.
when we're on a time crunch.
I know, right?
That was the stream. I have my sound on.
Hold on. I think that's it.
Well,
Input.
it's still not showing up. Oh, there you are.
Input.
Nope, then cut out again.
Test.
Oh, maybe that was partially bad.
Oh,
I know, right?
oh, I think I fixed it.
That was the stream.
Okay.
Hold on, I need to get past all this. We've already heard this
I
stuff.
think I fixed it. I think it was my OBS settings.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, right? I think I fixed it. I can hear you. I can hear you. Hold on,
Okay. It still sounds weird, but I can't tell if that's just because of the multiple delays on delays on
the
delays.
seven different versions of the same audio that have now played over and
Yeah.
over.
So okay, I'm hold on. I'm just gonna quickly
Just give it like a minute or two to catch up, and then we'll see.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna do a sound test, and we will go silent for like 30 seconds, let it catch up, and then I'll play it on my sound so I can hear it, and then yeah, that way I'll know if I can hear the stream, and then we'll start. Okay, this is an audio test. We're having fucky audio issues for some reason. This is an audio test. Okay, now
This is an
silence.
audio test. They don't know. Oh, it's still not showing up. Oh, there you are.
Oh, that's the previous one. Sorry. Shit. Hold on. Shit. 30 seconds, let it catch up, and then I'll play it on my sound so I can hear it, and then yeah, that way I'll know if I can hear the stream, and then we'll start. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yep. My audio sounds good. Okay. We're good. We fixed it. We solved the problem. Yeah. It was weird. It was saying my audio input was this weird random series of numbers, but to be fair, it just made me update OBS, so that might have something to do with it. But that's okay. Okay.
It would be funny if now, like, we've checked yours is good. We'd go and we do the podcast, go back and listen to it, and my audio hasn't been working the entire time.
It's weird because it still. Oh, maybe it still sounds. Shoot. Hold on. It still sounds really hollow for some reason. Yeah. Sorry. I had it at the whoa. That's too loud. Shit. Shoot. Oh no! I think I fucked up that. Okay, that should be good. Sorry, I can. There we go. That's better. Sorry,
good
folks.
to go?
I think we are. Yeah. Sorry, folks at home. I can't.
It wouldn't be a spur of the moment if there wasn't technical issues.
Yeah, exactly. No, too far. Okay. Hopefully that's good.
One day we'll get this worked out.
Exactly. It's because I'm doing it backwards, so hopefully you guys can hear me okay. Okay. Hopefully that's not too bad. I'm gonna spend the next few weeks fixing that. That's okay. Let's start this properly. In 3, 2, hopefully someone checks in, and if at any point anyone checks in, they can tell me how my audio sounds. I might turn the stream on so I can hear it while you're talking, during a delay, so I can hear what it sounds like.
Because on my end you sound fine.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's because you're hearing me through Discord. That's why.
Yeah.
So, let's start the podcast in 3, 2,
3, 2, 1, go.
Oh, see, you threw up my rhythm by counting with me. Sorry. Hold on. Let's do this again. In 3, 2, 1. This podcast is brought to you by the Arate Podcast Pantheon. Please go to aratemedia.org to check out lots of podcasts from our great friends. And if you would like to start your own podcast, they can offer you the tools and resources to do so there. So please head to aratemedia.org. That's ARETE media.org. On with the show, Jordan.
On with the show, my good
We are
friend.
finally starting the show. You know, again, it would not be a spur of the moment podcast without tech issues. One day we might get through one of these without tech issues.
One day, we can only hope.
I apologize if my audio sounds weird or off. I mean, I'm upset about it because I feel we had finally like nailed audio levels that sounded good, but my OBS was all fucky. So that's where we're at. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
That's my streaming software for you
Hopefully
laymen.
both of ours sound good.
Yeah, hopefully. So today on the show, um, we're gonna talk news. We're gonna talk about some the Young Sheldon. Apparently, a ton of people watched it. We're gonna find out what that Lord of the Rings movie, that Gollum movie, might be about. Chris Pratt's coming back as Star Lord. We're gonna talk some Supergirl movie news. They're making that Spider-Man noir show with Nicolas Cage. They shouldn't do that, and more. And then
Eh?
later we're introducing a new segment I've titled "New Shit." We're gonna talk about some new shit. I couldn't find a better place to put it in the show. So that's we're gonna talk about John Krasinski and Ryan Reynolds' movie If. And then obviously you saw the title. We're talking video game stuff, including you can't talk video game movies without talking about this one man. We're going to be talking about him. Let's just say it's baffling and mind-boggling. But we're going to get to that later. Start off with Jordan. A lot of people watched the Young Sheldon finale. Apparently,
I've seen bits and pieces of it
it,
on the old TikTok.
it apparently got 9 million viewers in Nielsen ratings, which is incredible because nobody watches live television anymore. Although, yeah, I can hear the stream, and then we'll start. Sorry. I mean,
I've seen bits and Whoa, I'm hearing double.
Star Lord. We're gonna talk some
Chris Pratt is coming back in Star Wars. A really
Sorry.
cool person just told me that.
sorry. I'm testing. Anyway, yeah, 9 million people watched it. I watched it through the power of clips on TikTok. Isolated
Same.
2 to 3 minute clips on TikTok.
Bits and pieces.
Bits and pieces. I saw by the end of it. I found a good playlist that had both episodes, the entire hour. So I managed to watch the whole thing, and it was like I watched it before I went to work. It was like 5 a.m. and I was like, oh my god, it's too early in the morning to be emotionally devastated. This is not a good mental space to start my day. But no, it's honestly a great finale. It's genuinely a great finale. It's a great spin-off, and it ties the thing together in a way that was quite beautiful, quite touching, if I'm being honest. It was quite nice. And yeah, we joked about it. We joked about Sheldon writing his memoirs. But that's a neat framing device. I really quite like that. And I like how
because it explains. It's a clever way of explaining away certain like differences between what was said in the Big Bang Theory and what was said here,
Right.
where it's like, oh, he's tuning up certain points so that his memoir looks good.
Right.
That makes sense.
Right, and I just love the fact that also he makes the point that he's the same age his dad was. I love that little bit at the end of the first part where he's like, "I'm now the same age." I also love the references to his kids. Like I love the present day Sheldon stuff. Like that stuff is great.
And knowing that it is a memoir, and then going back and watching the scene, because one of the big sticking points for a lot of people was that his dad cheated on his mom, right? And in this show, they were like, "Oh, he was role playing." But now knowing that it's Sheldon telling the story, no, his dad probably still did cheat. Sheldon's trying to paint him in a better light for his because he realized that he was just a guy, right? Like being a parent now.
Or
he can like understand certain things and trying to soften him.
Or conversely, again, it's his memoirs, but it's like yeah, there's a lot of people who've been like, "How'd you know about this stuff you weren't there for?" And it was like, well, maybe he like talked with his family about this stuff. Like maybe he talked to his mom, and he went, "Yeah, you know that bit about dad cheating," and she went, "What? No." And then she explained what happened. So yeah, this is because their placement in this is it's at least 5. I don't think they actually say.
Oh, you're stuttering a lot.
Oh, Jordan, there we go. You were stuttering too.
It's on my screen. It shows that you have one under your. You're now not a video, and under your video picture thing, it has one bar.
Really? Oh man, I gotta get a new desk. Can you at least hear me?
I can now. I couldn't then.
Okay. Um, shoot, I lost my train of thought. Uh,
Talk to family, got their
right, I got
perspectives.
their perspective. Friggin' tech issues. Anyway, yeah, I got their perspectives, and also he's older. Like this is like presumably. I mean, I don't think they outright say how long it is since the end of the Big Bang Theory, but it's long enough. It's at least 2, 3, 4, 5 years. I don't know. And yeah, that definitely changes your perspective on life and people and all that. Um,
Hmm.
I love the future Sheldon or the present day Sheldon stuff because that's such a great theory. Like I love the fact that he's got kids. I know that they revealed that in earlier seasons of Young Sheldon, but I love the fact that his kid is a hockey player. His kid's into hockey in like a big way, big enough that Sheldon won't accept that it's not just a hobby. I love that his daughter wants to be an actress. I love that. It's great because it's made enough people go like, you know what? I would watch a Young Sheldon show. An old Sheldon show, I mean. Like I would watch like a short series of like him as an adult raising teenagers. Like I would that would be fun. I would watch the heck out of that.
I mean, especially like if his kids are quote unquote normal, right? And so
Yeah,
now, he has to deal with the kid that, as from his perspective, is weird and strange and unusual. And yeah, obviously, that would definitely give him a perspective on what his dad felt like.
right. And what I would do is I would have it where yeah maybe have it where the daughter is normal or maybe the daughter is like Sheldon and it's sort of about like the kid learning to accept Sheldon and Sheldon learning to accept the kid, and that's the premise of the show. Like I like have it where it sort of centers on one of the son, maybe I don't know, or maybe the son's
I
older.
would
Yeah,
also
that'd be fun.
I would also like if you could get them to come back. For me, it depends on how many of the originals you can get to come back. But like if you can get the fellow who played Leonard and Penny to come back, I would have it where they have a kid as well who is friends with like Sheldon's kids, and their kid is like Sheldon was.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would be fun. And like it's what's I know that Jim Parsons is like he says he doesn't want to he has no interest in anything like that. But I think he said that from the perspective of going into it and like and not and not knowing what it was going to be like. But and I think when he thinks coming back in his mind, it's like the or the single camera or whatever or sitcom, live audience, what Big Bang Theory
Yeah,
was.
Big Bang Theory
Yeah, and
was. Yeah.
it doesn't have to be that. It doesn't. It can be young Sheldon, and he can play Sheldon in a way that's different. Like it is like Sheldon in this episode as an adult is different. He's so different
He's
from
more nuanced.
right like exactly yeah like he has like the greatest and longest character arc like I've one of the greatest and longest character arcs I've ever seen because yeah season 1 Sheldon would never put on the jersey. He would never
No.
admit that he made a mistake, and his narration in this has that sort of attitude.
Yeah, like Jim Parsons could absolutely do like if they came back and they did it where it's like it's 10 years after the Big Bang Theory,
Yeah,
10, 12 years after the Big Bang Theory. I mean, just by the passage of time, that opens you up to be a very different Sheldon than you were in the Big Bang Theory.
exactly, yeah.
Like like all that time around forget the kids, all that time around Amy Farrah Fowler and her influence on him, absolutely there would be quite a difference in character at that
Exactly. Yeah,
point.
but I just love the fact that he's older, he's wiser, but he's still Sheldon. And yeah, I love the bit at the
Yeah.
end where where she gets him to put on the jersey. He's like, "Fine, I'll wear the stupid jersey." And it's like, yeah, he would never do yeah, the fact that he loves his kids in his own way. Like the fact that he's like, I
Mhm.
love him. He knows I love him. Sheldon would have never said that before. He would have never expressed that emotion. And I do
He would have never used the L word.
yeah, and it really does set up for the Big Bang Theory in a way that is believable. And yeah, I would watch a remake of the Big Bang Theory in the style of Young Sheldon. I think that'd also be kind of interesting. Like do a spin. Like
I
I
think
don't know. I'm just
it
not
has
interested
potential.
in this. Okay, so with that, it's very good finale. With that, we'll move into our first real bit of news. I just wanted to use that as an excuse to gush about the Young Sheldon finale and how much I genuinely liked it. And it's funny. And it's
Which is
crazy.
impressive considering you haven't watched any of the rest of
No,
the show.
and like I never liked the show. I remember saying that from like day one. I was like, nah, I don't get it. I don't understand it. What's the point? I don't understand. And it evolved into something that was good in its own right. And like there was stuff in this
Mm.
that was just good in its own right. And then, but then for me, it's like when you can take recontextualization for me, my 30s is all about recontextualization and taking something that like yeah that you perceive one way and changing how you perceive it. And it's like yeah, like seeing like the origins of some of this sort of seemingly innocuous stuff from the Big Bang Theory it is interesting. And finally to wrap up my thoughts on the finale, Ian Armitage, the kid, man, he is nailing Jim Parsons by the end of that series. Like I initially like I don't
Mm.
see him aging into Jim Parsons, but he's got his mannerisms, he's got like his vocal pattern, like he talks like him. There's like little vocal ticks that he does that are just like yeah, and I love that. Yeah, you said oh how does he become the Sheldon we see at the start of the show? I mean, not counting like the pilot where he's still like before they decided he was like coded autistic. Um,
Hmm.
not counting that. How does he become that shut off version of himself? And it's the dad dying. And it's like, yeah, I love how we
Yeah,
see, and I love how through future Sheldon we understand that Sheldon was always capable of feeling these feelings. He always was. He just didn't understand them. He didn't understand what they were, and he didn't know how to convey that. And one of the more
and then
heartbreaking. Sorry.
yeah, and then after the trauma of his dad dying, he really shuts himself off to all that.
Yeah, yeah, and I was like, okay, that makes total sense. Like one of the most sad scenes in the show is this the scene where he's just sitting there silently replaying because he's got this eidetic memory, replaying the last thing he said to his dad, which was nothing, over and over and over again, and going through all the different ways it could have played out, all the different things that it could have done, which culminates in the end of the
Hmm.
episode where he's like the mom's like, oh, do you want to speak at the funeral? And it shows young Sheldon getting up and starting to make this speech about how he wished he had like even said bye or gone with him or spent that like last extra time he had. And he's like, oh, I wish I could tell you that I went up and I said that stuff, but I didn't because I didn't know how to. But now I do, and I recognize now that my dad was just a guy. He was just a person,
Hmm.
and he made mistakes, and he didn't. Nobody's perfect. I certainly am not perfect. Blah blah blah.
But he tried his best.
Yeah, and I thought like that was really beautiful.
Hmm.
Um, oh, and sorry, final thing, because it's funny. Apparently, the actor who plays the dad, because I was like, oh, it's kind of a shame he's not in the last episode. He's in like every episode, and he dies in the second to last episode. That kind of sucks. He gets to do a bit in the last one with the replays, but other than that, he's not in the last episode, obviously. So apparently, the
Hmm.
actor who plays him insisted because they didn't want the scene to get too heavy when they were filming the funeral. He insisted on being in the coffin, even though he didn't have to be. He insisted on it, and he kept a fart machine with him. He
What?
kept he kept he kept putting like setting it off the entire time they were shooting the scene. Oh, I may have lost Jordan. This is gonna be one of those weeks. Awesome, Jordan. When did I lose you? Can you hear me?
Hello, are you there?
I'm here. Are you there? I can see you. Can you see
I
me?
we've just reconnected. I can't see you. You have one bar again.
Oh man, I don't know how to fix this. The computer's got a shit connection to the internet right now. Its connection is being shitty, and I don't know why. I don't know how to fix it. We're just gonna have to power through the best we can. When did I lose you?
The last the last I heard was you were talking about how the dad wanted to, or the actor was in the coffin.
Right, right. Yeah. He insisted in being in the coffin, and he had a fart machine that he kept setting off.
That's
And there's
great.
apparently one of the crowd shots in the funeral. You can see him, and he's dressed as an old lady, and he's got like a sign or something.
Really
Yeah, and I'm like, that's
interesting.
that's funny. That's good. But yeah, it's definitely gonna stick with people, and I definitely think like yeah, we probably will definitely see a crop of, and I thought that it would come out sooner, but I suspect after like the massive viewership this had, we will see a crop of like prequel style single camera like sitcoms like this come up of like other series with other characters. It's very strange
So
to me. With that, let's move into
so
the next bit of news.
the question is, what do you think the next one will be?
I don't know. I don't know.
think on that, and we'll come back to that.
Young Chandler Bing. No, 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 no. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know what. I mean, I wouldn't have said Young Sheldon would have worked, and here we are gushing over the finale. But no, with that, so let's move into the next bit of news, which is Big Bang Theory adjacent, which is they announced that the parents so for that Georgie and Mandy spinoff, which is good, it's a sitcom. It's a studio audience traditional multi-camera sitcom. Because there was a clip of Emily Osment. She was like, oh, she's excited to move on and get to do that, and she's like,
Oh, she is. She'll get more money for that one because
yeah,
she'll have top billing.
yeah, well, yeah. But she said that she's excited to get Montana. Yeah, oh yeah. I learned this. The guy who plays Georgie, his name is Montana. Like just like the most southern
No,
possible name you could have. I don't know his
of
last name
course it
is.
is.
But she said he's excited. She's excited for him to get in front of the studio audience because this is his first studio audience sitcom show. He's never done it before. And so they announced that the her parents, the people who play her parents, they're coming. They're going to be on the sitcom. Her dad and her mom.
Okay.
Which is interesting to me, and it makes me wonder how many of the Young Sheldon cast are going to show up. Is Annie Potts Mima? Is the mom? Is the sister? Are they gonna move? Are they gonna come over and guest spot or become recurring characters on that? Like, because
I could see them. I could see them guest spotting.
because the show is very much the end of Young Sheldon. Very much sets up his arc leading into where he shows up at the end of Big Bang Theory, where he says the dad will take care of everything. He's working at the father-in-law's tire shop, which sets up him becoming a tire mogul. That was the word I was looking for the other day, by the way. Tire mogul. Um,
Uh,
uh,
the only one that I don't see showing up because the Big Bang Theory kind of makes it seem like they haven't seen each other in years. Is I don't see Sheldon showing up.
no, well, yeah, that's where I don't know because the show very much asserts that he's tight with. I don't think so ultimately, but the show does assert that he's tight with the mom, so he still comes back and visits the mom. Um, and so maybe he'll guest star every once in a while. But I will be interested to see how much of the Young Sheldon cast sort of cycle through because they're still in Texas. He's still living. He's still living in the unless they're going to do a massive time jump. But it's called First Marriage, and there's a deleted scene. I don't know if they say it outright, but there's a deleted scene in Big Bang Theory where they had Annie Potts, the woman who plays Mima on Young Sheldon, do a voiceover reading a letter that she sends to Sheldon about how she can't make it to the wedding. It's like, I'm sorry I couldn't make it to the wedding at 93 years old. I went to all three of Georgie's marriages, and I went to Missy's one marriage at the courthouse. But ironically, the one I was actually the most excited to show up to, don't tell the others, I can't make it to. So it reveals that what you say? I think apparently they said they cut it for time or for brevity's sake, but I suspect they probably cut it because it kind of contradicts the fact that they already had Mima on the show and she was not Annie Potts, very completely different character. But yeah, but that would seem to indicate and the title First Marriage would indicate that this is doomed to fail, which is kind of a bummer. But yeah, so that's interesting. So that does make me wonder that how many of these big Young Sheldon and how will the Young Sheldon universe carry on? Because I would also be interested in seeing a spinoff with just Sheldon at MIT, like an actual legit prequel to Big Bang Theory, the lead up to him meeting Leonard, like all of that. Maybe even introducing.
I could
Leonard.
I could be down for that.
Like
I also wouldn't be surprised if there was talks of there being a Missy spin-off show as well in the book.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I would be interested in those. Because I know that the Fresh Prince attempt at it wasn't
they've
good,
earned
but...
a certain they've earned a certain amount of faith with this show.
I know that I'm still absolutely interested in taking an old sitcom and like dramatizing it up a bit. I know that I know that
No,
the Fresh Prince one wasn't good. I know it wasn't good. I've heard it wasn't good. I've seen clips from it.
no.
I was into it until I saw a clip where they were cursing, and I'm like, ooh, too much. Like PG-13, you dial up the
Riverdale,
drama a little bit.
Riverdale killed that idea for me.
Oh, see, for me, it wasn't Riverdale because Riverdale was just
It was
ambiguous enough.
Riverdale.
I could see that. That's totally fair, totally fair. But for me, Riverdale was just kind of ambiguous enough in it, and that it didn't. I could let it go for that, where I was like, that's not Archie. But like, for me, it was the Fresh Prince one because that one was a bit more deliberate, and that was bad. I saw a clip of it, and they were cursing. It was terrible. They changed everything that made
Yeah.
Carlton fun. And like, I don't think
Yeah.
that
No.
like it's impossible to do that. I think you can. You like that the concept is a good one, and you can do it. I just think they haven't done it well yet. But I don't think Riverdale is an example of that. But I can see I understand your argument for it. I do. Um. Anyway, we've talked to death about the Big Bang Theory. Um. Um. The next bit of
I
news
mean,
is
mostly you. It's mostly been you gushing over it. I got to be honest
well,
here.
it's because I
Just
had
kind of
two.
letting the clock roll.
It's because I had two adjacent pieces of Young Sheldon news, and I'm like, you know what, might as well. And I really wanted to talk about the finale because we actually we haven't talked about it much. We kind of went. It was good.
I
We'll
haven't
talk about it
I
later.
I haven't seen yeah, I haven't seen all of it. I've just seen bits and pieces. But
But
from what I
it's
saw, yeah, it was
yeah.
very good.
So
Anyway,
they've confirmed officially that that Venom, the Last Dance, the next Venom movie will in fact be the final Venom movie. Um,
sure it will.
Well, I suspect it will. I don't think Tom Hardy. I think Tom Hardy's probably willing to show up on a green screen stage for an afternoon and get paid $1 million and play the character like in a cameo capacity. But I don't think he's like. I don't think he wants to do one movie. But did I lose you again?
I caught bits and pieces. Something about last Venom movie. Gonna be big. Keeping details under wrap. I think I got the gist of what you were saying, but I gotta be honest. I went every time that happens for you. The stream also does the spinning wheel of loading,
Of
so
course,
I don't know.
of course it does.
I don't know what's getting caught and what's not getting caught.
Okay. Well, let's just assume nobody heard. Let's just assume you're the audience, and anytime you don't hear something, the audience also doesn't hear it. And I'm gonna be
Probably a
repeating
safe
stuff.
bet.
Sorry, audience, and especially sorry to you, Spotify listeners. You don't have to put up with stutters because you're listening on Spotify. We wouldn't have these problems if we pre-recorded like sane people. Maybe we should batch record some pre-recorded episodes so we can like take the occasional week off. Anyways, the next Venom movie is the last one, and then I said I don't know
Yeah,
what they're gonna
I
do
got
for it.
that.
I don't know what they're gonna do for it. And I believe you said you were skeptical that it was gonna be the last one, and I said probably the last movie. Not the last time we'll see Venom. I'm sure Tom Hardy will show up cameoing as Venom because, they could just have him show up as a CGI character and he can do a voiceover in a voiceover booth. Like he doesn't need to show up on set, and if he does, it's like a day in a green screen room. Um, but I'm just
Yeah,
like, what are
you're
they
not wrong.
doing? Is he gonna fight Toxin, another symbiote? Are they actually gonna do Spider-Man? Like they're being pretty tight-lipped, which leads me to believe it might not just be Toxin. Because if it was just Toxin, I doubt they would be this like cagey about it. But maybe they.
To me, you can't do another symbiote. You've done that 2 times already. If it's gonna be the last one, it's got to be something big like Spider-Man or some other thing that's really cool that's at the same level of Spider-Man but isn't Spider-Man,
Yeah,
but it should be Spider-Man.
I mean, I don't have an issue with Toxin being in the movie. I don't want him to be the bad guy because so far they've done at least a base level as compared to most of their Marvel movies. With the Venom ones, they've at least kind of attempted to like remain faithful to the comics, at least to a degree. So it would bother me if Toxin was the bad guy because, to my knowledge, in his original Inception, Toxin's not a bad guy.
So here, let me tell you what my dream idea for this movie would be. Um Venom, freshly returned from the MCU, and now knowing that there is a multiverse, something causes the multiverse to come to him, and he goes off on this multiverse. I know multiversal is done to death, but stay with me on this. He goes off on this multiversal journey and ends up in a world where Spider-Man has been corrupted by the Carnage symbiote because we've already had Carnage, so we've set up that symbiote, and then you get to have Venom versus Spider Carnage.
I mean, you're overthinking it. Just have Spider Carnage walk out of a portal that have it be he stole a doc. He's like MCU variant who stole a sling ring.
Or that works. I don't care. Point being is that if you're gonna have a symbiote, to me, combine it with Spider-Man and make it Spider
I'm
Carnage.
kind of hoping that this is the one that's the one where they finally decide what they do with Spider-Man and they stop teasing him in trailers and then cut him out. Because at one point the rumor was that this was going to tie into Madam Web, because I don't know if you remember Madam Web. See our YouTube video on Madam Web. I don't.
No, I've deliberately chosen to forget that one.
Madam Web is sure a strange, weird movie. Go check it out on our YouTube channel after you finish watching this stuttery nonsense. Um, if you recall, Jordan, baby Peter Parker shows up in that movie. And originally, the plot of this was, after going to the MCU, Venom was going to seek out Peter Parker, where he would find out that Peter Parker was a baby still in his universe, and that was going to be the Sony Peter Parker, and it was going to be like Venom is protecting baby Peter Parker from I can't remember if it was Toxin or if they didn't know what the bad guy was yet, but I think it might have been Toxin. And I just, yeah, to me it was like, I think at one point the rumor was the movie can go in two directions. It's either Venom fights Toxin or Venom and Toxin team up. Which I feel like should be Venom and Toxin team up, because the whole thing is Toxin is like a good guy initially. He's like, basically he's Carnage's offspring, and he's like an infant, and he gets bonded to the cop.
Right?
I don't know if you remember the end of Second Venom, but the cop where his eyes like glowed.
No.
Well, the cop at the end of Venom 2, his eyes glowed. That's the detective who in the comic he becomes Toxin basically, and so. Toxin again isn't traditionally a bad guy, and that cop isn't a bad guy in the movie, so it just wouldn't make any sense for that character to be a bad guy, and it would bother me. And I like those movies. Of the Sony Marvel movies, they're the only ones I like.
I would agree with that. But yeah, that's my dream idea for the movie.
That would be pretty.
Is
rad.
That way you get to have both a Spider-Man who can be evil, and thus Venom can have a reason to fight him. And they would have their obsessive need to have every one of these movies have a symbiote for him to fight.
My dream for the movie in a realm that's probably more realistic than yours, as much as I love yours, is they do a Venom and Spider-Man fight, or it's a Venom versus Spider-Man movie. They fight in the first act, and they team up and fight a thing together in the third act kind of movie. Basically, I just want them to have Spider-Man do a Spider-Man and Venom movie. I want that. Ideally with
my version of that would be that. I was going to say my version of that would be with Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, ideally with Andrew Garfield.
And because then that works to me, because then you could have it be where, like, the reason why Venom is hunting this Spider-Man is because in this universe Spider-Man has been killing his villains because he's aggressive.
Exactly. And then the lesson can be Venom being like, dude, you gotta chill out. I can do this, you can't do this. And then
you have to be better than me.
But then you have to have like a third act bad guy. See, my dream final bad guy for him to fight is obviously
And if they hadn't already pissed away Carnage, then it could have been Carnage.
Yeah, but I mean, no. Yes.
Because that's usually how the comics go, is Venom and Spider-Man and have to team up against Carnage.
Yeah, no, I know, but Venom does have a big bad, and I forget what his name is. You know, the symbiote. Krull? No. I think it's no. But he's like the
symbiote king.
Symbiote king, yeah. He's the big bad that I would like to see Venom fight. And then have the series end with Tom Hardy and Venom go off and they become the symbiote king, and then boom, Venom's gone. You don't have to, and then he leaves a little bitty bit of the symbiote behind, and Spider-Man gets black suit. But so Jordan, you want to know when the next Five Nights at Freddy's movie is coming out, which is definitely coming. By the way, I think they confirmed it. I don't know if I told you that.
2025.
It's coming out wow, spot on. Okay. Year 2025.
Yeah, that's my guess.
Okay, want to take a crack at the month?
I mean, you already started to say December, so this doesn't feel like a fair guess. Is it December?
Damn it, I did start to say December, didn't I? Damn it, I know, because I had the idea mid thought, midstream. You want to guess the date?
Now that is a challenge. Is it the 15th?
Lower.
12th.
Lower.
10th.
Lower.
8th.
Lower.
5th.
Wow, you got it, nailed it. On top of Old Smoky. Yeah, December 5th.
First try.
December 5th. Edit that in. Edit that in, editor. Edit it so he said it in the first
Editor, just edit it so it was the first try.
Edit it so it was the first try, editor. But yeah, December. Beginning of December,
As far as the
2025.
Spotify people will be aware, that was the first try.
That was the first try. I mean, I don't edit any of the actual podcasts, but sure, as far as the yeah.
No. As far as they know, it was the first try.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's just so weird. They're putting that out in December. That's a weird time to put that movie out. The first one came out in October, like right before Halloween, when it should have come out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right? Like it's like
December is weird unless you're going for like the movie takes place in that month. Then it's like, okay, synergy, I guess.
Although if you recall, a lot of us went. A lot of us went. I thought this was supposed to be a horror movie, and every Five Nights at Freddy fan went no. So, maybe they don't see it as maybe they're like, I'm gonna put it out with the Oscar bait. It's weird that they're putting it out with the Oscar.
Horror. I mean, it is.
Oscar bait.
It is by its very nature horror, but in the loosest sense of the word possible.
I mean, it's not as weird as putting your Halloween movie out in July like Disney did, but
True, that one would say that is weird.
But that's coming. So yeah, so that Lord of the Rings movie we talked about last week, the Gollum one.
The Gollum one that I don't understand?
Yeah, apparently they've confirmed that it won't just be the fourth film in the trilogy, which I don't know how it could, because doesn't Gollum die at the end of the third one?
I mean, even ignoring that, the ring that he wants certainly is dead by the end of the third one.
So why would anyone think
all the conflict on the world is pretty much resolved because the Dark Lord has been defeated.
Right? Like,
why would you think it was going to take place after that?
Why would anyone think
again, ignoring the very obvious glaring issue that Gollum falls into a pit of lava.
Right? Like, why would anyone think this is the fourth movie in the trilogy? Why would anyone think that? That's a weird thing to say. At best,
now, if you were to say,
it's gonna be a prequel.
If you were to say it's the fourth, if you were to say it's the fourth one in the trilogy of The Hobbit,
right?
Okay, that's different.
Right. This is a prequel to the Lord of the Rings, a midquel if you want to count. It takes place between The Hobbit and that's the best thing you can hope for. It's going to take place between two movies, and it's going to be like Gollum was off on another little adventure, or it's going to be like how Gollum became Gollum.
A thing.
Which I discovered, it was very funny. There's some moments when I'm making shorts or watching stuff where I realize I don't remember things quite as well as I kind of thought I did.
Oh yeah.
So I completely forgot that there's like a quite a long scene at the beginning of the third one where you actually do see Smeagol turn into Gollum, physically turn into Gollum. I just remember it was like you see him as Andy Serkis.
You do?
Yeah. There's a bit where he's in a cave and his hair is falling out and stuff. And I was I completely forgot about that. I mean, to be fair, I think I've only seen the King once, so.
I've seen it more recently than you, and I don't remember that.
Yeah, but I guess you blow that out to an hour and a half long movie. I guess I don't know.
I guess.
Long movie. I guess I don't know. Or you're like, oh, here's a because I mean like we said last week, there is that game. The Shadows of Mordor game.
Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah, which sort of implies that Gollum was off on other little adventures while he was looking for the ring. So I guess it could be just
hunting for the ring. Yeah.
Yeah, it could just be another little adventure he was on. I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I don't
I
know.
guess.
I guess I don't know. I just don't like. Yeah,
I'll have to wait until I see the trailer.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like Gollum, iconic character. Don't know if I could do a whole movie of him. I just don't know that I could. Not really all that interested in that. So,
Not the monosyllabic version of him where he's like,
no,
"We want the precious. I want
no,
the precious, precious." Like,
could
no,
not,
can't do that.
could
But
not
like,
do
if,
a
yeah,
whole
you're
movie of
right. If
that.
it's like a prequel of the him when he's still talking and a hobbit slowly descending into madness, and you make it a horror film where at the end of it he's talking like that, but like up to that point it's normal
Exactly.
talking, then
Maybe.
maybe.
Apparently, remember, I think a few shows back, a few weeks back, I had mentioned that they were making a Happy Gilmore 2, and I said it with like certainty. I was like, they're definitely making this. Apparently they hadn't confirmed it yet, and that was just one of the actors who was in the movie. He just kind of said it on a podcast that Adam Sandler has shown him the script, and at the end of it, he's like, "Oh shit, I don't know if I should have said that. Oops." But they've now officially confirmed. Netflix and Adam Sandler have officially confirmed they're making Happy Gilmore 2, and so we can now
Well, I mean,
officially
after that, they kind of had to.
right. And so Jordan, we can now officially say together now. Say it with me now, Jordan. Why? You're not saying it with me.
Why?
Okay, let's do it again.
Why?
Okay, we got it. Why?
Why?
There we go. Nailed it.
Why? Why?
Editor.
Why?
Edit. So
Editor?
editor.
Fancy Justin, edit that together.
Edit that. So we said it. We said it at the same time. Okay, let's say it one more time. 1, 2, 3. Why?
Why?
Seriously? One day we'll be in
I
the
set you
same.
up perfectly for that.
One day we'll be in the same room. One day. One day.
There's like a 6-second delay, okay? It's hard.
It's apparently enough of a delay that we can't synchronize. This is bullshit. Anyway.
I mean, we'll just take our headphones off and actually hear each other, and we'll do it.
Right. Anyway, yeah. Why?
Why? Why?
So I don't know if we
Why?
I don't know if we talked about they did I meant to send them to you but they revealed set photos.
Arete Media says, Justin, you have some echo, buddy.
I have some echo. Oh no. Why do I have echo? That's bad. No. Well.
We've been having technical difficulties all day.
Yeah.
This just continues the trend.
Hold on. Does that fix them? Jake, if you're still watching, we have a delay. It's been messing with troubleshooting. It's been making troubleshooting difficult. So I might have flicked a setting when I was trying to fix my gain. To catch you up, if you're still watching, at the start of the show, for whatever reason in OBS, it switched off of my audio settings off of my mic. It changed it to this random mic setting instead of Yeti.
He says not yet.
Okay. I don't know. We're just gonna have to put up with an echo then, because I don't know what I did, and I have to look at what my settings are. Sorry, there's an echo for this episode. There's nothing I can do to fix it for now.
The Spur of the Moment Mod podcast is brought to you by Echoes.
And technical issues. We're constantly learning and we're constantly evolving. Yeah, I have to look up what setting I had it on before. I can't remember now. Anyway, they revealed photos of the.
Arete says, check and see if you have 2 microphones working at the same time. Happened to me once.
2 microphones at the same time. Well, let's just hold on. Let's just really quickly.
Very briefly, we'll do this, and then we got to get back on. Got to get back on that horse and eat that horse.
No, I don't know. Yay. Oh, I know what it is. Sorry. Let's do this. I think I may know the problem. Maybe right. Let's just do that. Hopefully that fixes it. If not, yeah, it's just gonna be a little echoey for today's episode. Unless it still is, I don't know. or my gain's too high and it's picking up your microphone. Okay.
That's very possible.
Anyway, so they revealed set photos of the Wizards of Waverly Place spinoff. Um,
Yeah, that's a thing.
which is a thing that's happening incredibly. They've shot the pilot for it. They revealed the cast of who's playing the kids and whatever. And like I only really included it to just sort of make this point that like what has happened to Selena Gomez's star power that she's desperate enough to do this. Like I fully understand why David Henry's doing this. He's only relevant for having done this. Why is she doing this?
I mean, it could be a deep reverence and love for the character and the show that she once worked on that brought her fame.
No, I can't believe that. She was at one point way too famous for this to come back to this.
I mean, she just might need the money.
I mean that's possible. That's possible. No one wants to hire Selena Gomez. Like it's just like why is she going back to the well? You typically only go back to the well when you when you're desperate.
I don't know. I mean, I got to be honest. I haven't really paid that much attention to this show because it doesn't really hold an interest for me.
I will
But
watch it in isolated clips on TikTok when someone eventually puts it on TikTok.
Areti Media says, well.
Well, what?
I don't know. He just said, well.
In context to me talking about her going back to one?
I'm assuming that's what he just said, well. She doesn't have the notoriety of drug overdoses or sex tape, so the way the well may have dried up.
Oh,
Lol.
yeah. I mean, that's also possible. I mean, she also does this thing where she has lupus and people criticize how she looks, and that may to agents or producers or whatever may make her seem unappealing. So she's like, she's plumbing the depths. So to remain relevant. That's my best guess. Because otherwise, I don't know, man. I don't know. This just feels the entire step of the way when it comes to this reboot. It's felt desperate. Like the guy who plays Justin. I followed him on Twitter years ago, and I can't be bothered to unfollow people. And I see him, and his whole thing is just being famous for this thing he did when he was a kid. And I don't know. That always makes me feel weird. People who are like desperately trying to clean.
You can make money doing the same thing forever. Why not?
I suppose that's fair. Yeah, I suppose that's fair.
It's easy money.
Yeah, I suppose that's fair. But with that, moving on, Chris Pratt apparently has confirmed that he will come back as Star-Lord. Star-Lord will be back. Which I don't know why he needed to confirm that. It told us at the end of Guardians 3 that Star-Lord would be back. Maybe he didn't know like Chris Hemsworth. That's one of my favorite anecdotes about Love and Thunder. Is he was at I think it was the premiere, and the little bit popped up where it was like Thor will return, and he turned to Taika Waititi and went, he will. Taika Waititi just shrugged and went, I guess.
Apparently Thor will return.
Apparently, so I guess Chris Pratt must have missed that. And he also has said that he will 100% also star in the DCU. So my question is, who should Chris Pratt play in the DCU, Jordan? Who are we casting Chris Pratt as? Which character?
Oh, that's...
I got one, and it just popped into my head. Do you have one?
Okay, you go first.
Okay. Booster Gold.
Is it weird that was the first one that popped into my head, and I was like, no.
I know, it feels really obvious because it's really Star-Lord-y. And it doesn't challenge him much. But I can't think of anything particularly challenging that I think he would be interesting.
For Liam Hemsworth.
So not Liam Hemsworth. Not Liam Hemsworth. Chris Pratt.
Oh, Chris Pratt. That's different. Hal Jordan.
See, for Chris Pratt, he was who I was thinking for Booster Gold.
I was thinking Chris Hemsworth for Booster Gold.
Oh, interesting. I can see why you would say that. I can see why you would say that. But sorry, who did you say for Chris Pratt?
For Chris Pratt, I said Hal Jordan.
Okay, okay, okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I can
or
see that.
one of
Yeah,
the Green
he does
Lanterns.
have the attitude. Yeah, I mean, they're. I think they're doing Guy Gardner. Nathan Fillion is Guy Gardner because he's green. He's a Green Lantern, and I'm pretty sure. I don't think it's Hal Jordan. I'm pretty sure it's Guy Gardner. Because it's
If
still when I do
not
Hal Jordan.
him,
I can see
if
that.
not him, then maybe Green Arrow.
I think there's still somebody. I think James Gunn is still like there's somebody at Warner Brothers in DC that is trying to get Ryan Reynolds to do another one. I'm pretty convinced. Like that's why they haven't announced
I
Hal Jordan.
mean, I would love them to do another attempt at that, but good.
He's not the bad part of that
He's
movie. He's
no,
really
he's
not.
not for me.
No, he's
Not
really
for me,
not.
he's not.
He's really
No.
not. There's other things that are bad in that movie.
There's a myriad I was just gonna say there's a myriad of other things that are wrong with that movie, but
Yeah.
no, I don't feel that he did a bad job.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I don't think he was the problem. Um, but yeah. Moving on. They announced a release date
Move.
for Mortal Kombat 2, which is coming out. Jordan, let's play the game. What year do you think it's coming out?
When did the last one come out?
2021?
Hmm. Either late 2024 or 2025.
Pick one.
2025.
Boom. Month. Which month do you think it's coming out?
Hmm. February.
Interesting. Okay, okay. I'll give you one more guess.
How how close am I?
You said February? You're not close. Wait, it's at the end of the year. I'll give you that.
End of the year.
So
Okay.
so kind of. If you think of the month as
Uh,
being circular.
Arete says Mortal Kombat number two is a very appropriate name for the next movie in that franchise.
I'm actually excited
And
for
then
it
and then
for reasons we're gonna get to.
and then he has the poop emoticon.
I'm excited for it for reasons that we'll get to.
Um.
But let's
So
say
end of the year.
end of the year.
So
Yeah.
end of 2025.
Yes. Towards the end of the year in terms of months. It's not.
September.
You're close. You're off by a month. You're early.
October.
Yes. So do you think it'll be at the end of October or beginning of October?
End.
Yeah. It's October 24th, 2025 is coming out. Watch out,
Interesting.
I
Interesting.
okay. I understand why you don't like that movie, Jake. I totally do. But I think it's because I have a thing for movies that are cartoonishly and gratuitously violent for just for the sake of it. And it's funny you bring up. We're going to talk about adaptation. If you hang out, Jake, we're going to talk about video game adaptations later. But it's certainly from an aesthetic standpoint. It like all the characters look like the characters from Mortal Kombat. Like Kung Lao looks like Kung Lao, and there's like attacks that look like attacks. But you're right. What is Cole? Like Cole should have been Johnny Cage. Why wasn't he Johnny Cage? Like we're gonna talk about the '95 Mortal Kombat later, but Johnny Cage is the audience point of view character in that movie, and that's what he should have been in the new one, obviously.
I,
But
I, I, I have to be honest. I only watched it one time, and I don't really have I don't remember it very well.
that was because we watched it the one time, and it was that
We
was the
watched it at the one time, and it was a power outage, and we both watched it on your phone.
yeah, my tablet. Yeah, and we ingested substances which aren't legal in Canada. Cough, cough,
Justin, don't admit to that on video.
cough. I'm
Uh,
kidding. I'm
Ar-
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
Arete
kidding.
says, I refer to the first one as Mortal Kombat Preparation because it is both a reference to Preparation H and it's a Mortal Kombat movie without a tournament.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe in the next one they'll do a Mortal Kombat, which I think they probably will. I mean, because Carl Urban is gonna be Johnny Cage, and I am excited. Um, I am excited
Hmm.
for Carl Urban as Johnny Cage. I think that'll be fun. And yeah, I think the first one's really dumb, but I enjoy it. And there's other characters, there's other Mortal Kombat characters. Like they really didn't really touch a lot of the weirder ones. So I have strong faith that this will be like one of those ones where like the second one's really good. So they announced the Spider-Man Noir live show. Live
Yeah, that's
show
a thing. That's weird.
with Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage is going to be Spider-Man
So
Noir. They've officially announced it.
so already says half the characters are dead before the tournament. Laugh emoji.
He's not wrong.
Nicolas Cage as so is that the same one from Across the Spider-Verse?
I don't know. See, they.
Because him being played by Nicolas Cage kind of implies that it is.
Well, yeah, it implies that it is, but in previous like statements on this, they've said that he's not Peter Parker. And the version that shows up in Spider Verse is, I'm pretty sure, but they talk over each other. But I'm pretty sure you hear in his backstory that he's Peter Parker still. But I don't know. I don't know if now that it's Nicolas
remember.
Cage, is it gonna be? I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure he does. Or certainly, I do remember him saying Uncle Ben. Um,
Uncle Ben, I remember him saying stuff about Uncle Ben.
yeah.
But I don't. Yeah.
But just like that character is cartoonish in a way that works in the movie that he's in. But how does Nicolas Cage do a serious? Is it a serious version of that? Is it like how he was in the cartoon? And it's I don't like that it's Nicolas Cage. I love Nicolas Cage. I love his take on that character, but it should have remained a voice. He shouldn't be doing this as a physical actor. I just no. I'm not into this. I want maybe someone young and healthy and like that could do the action sequences. Because this character is physical still.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing though is that it being in a mask, it doesn't have to be him doing the action sequences.
But okay. I'm gonna be like, okay, there's Nicolas. I don't know how old Nicolas Cage is, but I'm pretty sure he's like nearly 60 years old. Puts on a mask and now he can do Spider-Man shit. No, it's so unbelievable. No, I hate this. I hate this on its face. I don't want this. I don't know who would want this, other than people who think that Nicolas Cage is funny. But like,
good guess. He is 60.
Yeah, he is. He's 60. Yeah. No, I'm just no. It's like, and I think you're going the direction of he's old and he's grizzled, and I'm like, but that's the least interesting part of Spider-Man Noir's story. Like, it just kind of sounds like they're gonna try to do Batman or Dark Knight Returns, but with Spider-Man, and I'm just not interested in that.
I need to see it, quite honestly, because like the thing is, like if it's a black and white like noir style thing, you can hide a lot with that. You can hide a lot with that.
I mean, I guess maybe if you do it stylized Sin City style, but I don't like the fact that Nicolas Cage is in it. I just don't like that it's Nicolas Cage.
I understand.
I don't.
I understand. I don't inherently disagree. I need to see a trailer.
Like, I don't. It's not that I like the idea. I love Spider-Man Noir. I feel like he's definitely underexplored as a character. But like, I want to see an R-rated movie version of this. Like, I don't want like a watered down Amazon Prime show version. It's just this. The idea I'm not against, but yeah, its execution I don't see a version of that I'm gonna like. But as my favorite podcast always says, anything can be good. I think
that's why I say I need to see a trailer.
Thus ends the news portion of the show. Which is so long today. But look, sometimes the news is juicy. Sometimes you got a lot to say about the news. Also, we talked about the Big Bang Theory
And sometimes there's technical difficulties,
and
you know?
sometimes there's technical difficulties. And sometimes your podcast boss shows up and points out the technical difficulties. Thanks for that, Jake. Anyway, appreciate the help. No, I'm not joking. It was very sincere. Anyway, with that, today's sponsor, who's sponsoring this insanity, is let me ask you a question. Or let's say that you were an award-winning technical issue-free podcast. You wanted to celebrate that. You wanted to buy yourself a trophy. Or where could one go to get such a trophy?
Well, using the link in our description below, one could go to trophysmack.com to buy not only personalized trophies with custom toppers, but you could buy wrestling belts, rings, trophies for people that maybe had technical issue filled podcast for a loser type podcast.
Yeah, what if you want to tell your friend
Uh,
that they're a big old loser, Jordan? Where can you go if they want to tell your friend that?
Again, using the link in our description below, you can go to trophysmack.com and they have a wide array of things that could easily fill that. They have custom fantasy sport league trophies. They have real sport leagues trophies. They have a lot of stuff
You, you know, you know what else they've realized,
and
Jordan?
just go.
You know what else I want to realize? If you wanted to buy an award to tell your boss to suck it, you can do that at trophysmack.com.
I mean, I wouldn't, but you could.
But you could.
You could absolutely do
You
that
could be like, in your face, boss.
using our link in the
Trophysmack.com.
description below.
Sorry, my just all of a sudden muscle cramps. Got a real
Trophysmack.com.
trophysmack.com. Cure your muscle cramps at trophysmack.com using our
Or
link
buy yourself a belt.
to like help you with your muscle cramps. Trophysmack.com using our link. On with the show, Jordan.
On with the show after that advertisement.
After that advertisement. So I know I promised the new segment, new shit. But the news section ran so long, and we have other things we need to do. So we are not going to premiere our new section, new shit. But this is what I will say as a sneak preview. It was pretty good. It was alright. I know if you follow me on TikTok, I
We could
promised we would elaborate about what we meant. It's okay. It's okay. You know
after
what?
our other stuff, we can just record something.
True, true. We could. No, you know what? You know what? Screw it. Screw it. We'll do it. We'll do it really quick, Jordan. In like 30 seconds or less. What you really quickly thought about if good. You know what? Let's break this down to one good thing, one bad thing, and one observation you have. Go. One good thing.
One good thing, it's cute, it's sweet, the character design is fun, and it's like cotton candy. You enjoy it.
Bad thing, Jordan. Go.
Bad thing. Once it's like a house of cards, where once you start to pull apart the house of cards and point things out in the movie after certain twists happen, it kind of all starts to fall apart.
One strange or observation. One final thing. One final thing. Good, bad, whatever. Whatever you have to say.
Final thing that I would say about it is, it's a good kids movie. It's basic enough that kids can follow it. As an adult, you will have things that will make you go, but wait, if this is, and that is, then this is.
Okay, my three. Okay. To start off with, my three are gonna have spoilers in it. There is a spoiler. There's a big old spoiler. I'll do the good spoiler free, and then the bad and the final will have spoilers. Okay. Good. It is very cute. It's very cute. It's a very cute movie. The character designs are great. Each of the individual ifs look different. They all have different textures, and the creativity in like thinking how a child might conceive this character is really fun, and it's really good. And yeah, and Jordan's right. It's a very good kids movie. If you're like 7 or 8, like this is very much a movie I would have watched as a child and like rented. Like I would have rented this like 100 times and really loved it. And then bad thing, spoilers, bad thing. Once you find out that Ryan Reynolds is an imaginary friend, the movie ceases to make sense. It becomes incomprehensible. It's a bad twist that doesn't make any sense, and it makes a lot of Ryan Reynolds' early characterization and lines not really make any sense, and it makes huge sections of the plot just not make sense. And then final thought.
House of Cards.
House of Cards. It's a real cardigan sweater of a movie. If you start pulling at the thread, the whole thing dissolves. My final thought is that what was my final thought? Nuts and bolts, film critic-y, but this very much feels like this script has had something taken out of it, or this movie has had something taken out of it. It feels like there's scenes that are just missing, that are just gone. and it makes elements of this movie not make sense, and it makes for not a cohesive story. But like, if you're 8, and final thing would be a question I'm gonna ask Jordan, because Jordan, you're the surrogate for the audience right now. Is it us?
Okay.
Like that was very much a question I had, where I like we immediately were like, both me and Jordan, we turned to each other and went,
What was the question?
oh, hold on, I'm gonna ask the question in just a second. There's a lead up. Me and Jordan turned to each other in regards to the big spoiler. Me and Jordan turned to each other and went, Ryan Reynolds is the imaginary best friend. The imaginary friend. He's an imaginary friend. And
Before the movie even started, we did that.
yeah, exactly. He's the imaginary friend. It's really obvious. And it was like with the question of, is that because we do this and we now watch so many movies that just know how the sausage is made inherently, or is it just a bad twist that's really obvious? I can't tell sometimes if it's me. Am I the problem? And the lady next to me, I could hear her. The twist blew her fucking mind. So like, is she just really dumb? Is this really just really popcorn drivel, or am I just like smart? Or I couldn't tell. I was having trouble telling.
I mean,
That. So
in some cases,
sorry, go ahead.
sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, in some cases, a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Yeah, yeah. Um, where it's like yeah, that happens sometimes. Where it's like, yeah, I just know how film structure works now to a point that we're gonna talk about that later. Don't you worry. But where I'm like bothered by things like that now. But I'm like, yeah, if that was a very long way of saying, if you're a 7-year-old, I feel like this movie will probably blow your mind. And this definitely feels like a movie that there'll be a generation of kids who watch it on repeat on streaming, and like go back to it as an adult, and they're like, wait a second, like you said. A lot of this movie doesn't make any sense when you think about it, and like a future cinema sins will like ding it to death.
Yeah, like when you put any like logical thinking about certain things, or not logical, like hard thought
Yeah, they call them.
towards certain aspects of it. Critical thinking, that's the word I'm
Yeah,
looking for.
they call it.
If you do any critical thinking, then it starts to fall apart.
Yeah, they call it refrigerator logic, where basically it's like when I think also shower logic, where it's like you're basically when you're at midnight, it's midnight, you're at the fridge and you're like, wait a minute, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's one of those kind of movies where like,
As
wait,
for
who is she living with at the beginning
uh,
of the movie?
as for whether we kind of can figure it out because we watch a bunch of movies. I don't think it's just movies. I think it's if you ingest a lot of media in general, whether it be video games,
Yeah,
movies, books. There's just certain things where it's like once you've ingested enough of that kind of like that stuff, it just becomes you can't help but notice things.
yeah,
So like we discussed, and again, spoilers for people who haven't seen it, but like once you've watched enough media, you kind of start to go like, okay, well, nobody is addressing Ryan Reynolds or talking to Reynolds or looking at him or acknowledging him in any way except for the little girl.
yeah, yeah.
So if you have any sort of
If you've seen
common
The Sixth
sense,
Sense, then you're like, yeah, I recognize the signs. And they telegraph it really obviously. But like I said, the woman beside me didn't see it coming. So I'm like, either like, yeah, I just have seen enough twists over the years that I recognize the earmarks of one. Or like, yeah, or that poor woman's really dumb. I don't know. I don't know. But that
or
leads me to
both,
my
it could be both.
conclusion that
I'm a
that
genius.
well, more just like if you were a 6 or 7 year old, yeah, this movie would be mind blowing. And yeah, there's some
Yeah.
fun sequences, but it definitely feels like there's elements of this that just don't make any sense. That feel like they came from a previous version of the script. Like there's a lot of subplots that just don't make any sense. There's a lot of setup that like the biggest one, and then that's it. That's the final thoughts. We're gonna cut it off there. Is the fact that who is she living with at the start of the movie? Like it's the big one. It's immediate. She's going to live with the grandma because the dad's at the hospital, and the dad says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't pick you up." But why was he picking her up? Was he like who was she staying with prior? Yeah, it's very. Anyway. I guess that turned out to be that was
Hi. Sorry. Critical Hit Training just popped in to say, "Hey boys, just popping in to say hi."
howdy. Good.
Hello.
Thanks for
You
jumping
know who
in.
that is, right?
I absolutely know who that is. Yes.
Okay, yeah, perfect.
Yes,
Hi.
I absolutely know. This.
Thanks for popping in.
Howdy. Hey, how? Um, we just watched. If he's still around, take your kid to see If. That would be. That's I guess
It's a
that's
good
all.
movie.
It's a good fun movie for your kids. Your kids will love it. Maybe not if you have young kids, but like 4 or 5 year olds like will definitely love this movie. It's very cute.
It it's cute.
Yeah, it's very cute. But I guess that was our new segment. That was new
He,
shit.
he, he gave he gave a thumbs up.
Excellent. Recommend Spur of the Moment approved. Would you say the Spur of the Moment podcast approved around this movie? Yeah.
I would. It's hard. It's like like I described it. It's like cotton
Yeah.
candy.
Don't think about it too much is what I would say. But that was our new segment. That was the new segment of the show. New shit. Or in the instances I have to censor it, new stuff. But new shit.
New new
New
things.
things. And with that, it's now for the time for the next segment of the
Uh
podcast. It's time. It's time for some rapid fire. Unless Jordan's got a comment.
uh yeah, I do. He said yes. Critical Hit Training said yes. I hear that. The boy would sit through it. I'm sure. Uh, he sat through Mario, so I have hopes for that.
Yeah. Oh, if you sat through Mario, I mean, it's a little schmaltzier than Mario, so it might be, it might be, but there's one really big, fun, colorful dance sequence that's really cute and really fun. That he's not going to care about the logic about. He's not.
Yeah,
He's not. He's going to see the funny
no, he
detective
probably
character
won't.
who's really aggressive for some reason, which was really funny.
And the big cute fuzzy fuzzy
Yeah.
guy,
Oh,
Blue.
Blue. Steve Carell's character is amazing. He's super fun. He's super fun. Yeah. And it's super fun. It's super cute. It's definitely like I back in the day would call it a movie rental movie where like you rent it and you put it on for like your 5 year old. It's one of those movies. Like we'd rent it like
Yeah,
100 times from the video store. There's just certain ones that like have that vibe where I'm like, yeah, man, this is like a movie that I feel like I would have watched when I was a kid. I mean that is a compliment. But we didn't really think about the
yeah,
logic
no.
of things when we were.
Complaints aside, again, I really like the movie.
Yeah, exactly. I never. Yeah. But yeah, with that, Jordan, what is your first rapid fire?
We're on that. My first rapid fire funny that we talked about Mario was the Mario movie, the
Movie's
animated one.
fun.
Be- because the theme this week, for those who didn't know, because they might
Oh,
not, is video game movies.
I'm pretty sure I did. I'm not saying that the theme this week was video game at the top of the show. I did. I'm pretty sure that's
You
right. Yeah.
you,
So
you may not have. I don't know, but it doesn't hurt to
you know
re-say
what?
it.
You know what? You're right. That's fair enough. Welcome to the second part of the show, everybody. This week's topic is video games. Um,
Video game movies.
I mean, I did say video game movies. I have a tag on to one of yours, which isn't a movie; it's a show. But yeah, I did say movies. Fair, but anyway, what's your first rapid fire, Jordan?
Mario.
Oh yes,
Mario.
Mario. Man, it's again. I love that we're at a point, and this is going to be a thing. I don't know when it started, but I love we're at a point where aesthetics matter to video people who make video game movies. Like it
Yeah.
has to look like the thing now. Like it has to look like
Yeah.
the thing, and to me, this is a believable version of the story. And I can't stand people who are like, oh, it needs to be this like complicated, like who are like, oh, the story is too simple. The Mario game story is simple. They have no story. Like they have no
Yeah.
story. So you're saying this one's too
This
basic?
this
Of
very
course it's
much
basic. It's
this
Mario.
very much was like yeah, this was very much like the '90s show, the Super Mario Brothers show, where it's like they start in Brooklyn, they go to the
Yeah.
Mushroom Kingdom, they have their fun little romp through the Mushroom Kingdom. Bowser is Bowser, Peach is Peach, like they're all exactly who they should be.
Yeah, the
Um,
backstory doesn't matter. They almost could have just. I would almost maybe prefer they just skip doing the backstory. Like just have it be those.
and No, I like the backstory. I like that
Although,
stuff.
I will say,
Um,
I mean,
like if you don't, if you didn't have the backstory part, then you couldn't have had the cheesy "We're the Mario Brothers" and
that's
plumbing's
fair.
arcade.
That's
Like
fair.
like when I
It's worth
saw
it for
that in the
that,
one trailer, I was like, oh my god!
right?
Like it blew my mind that they had that.
It's worth it for that. It is. You're right. You're right. You're absolutely right. But no, I
And
was.
plus having Charles Martinet be the "It's a perfect" in there is like, oh, I love that. I love that.
It's so and yeah, it's the movie they needed to make. Like it's maybe yeah, okay, yeah, maybe
Yeah,
okay, maybe be you want it to be a little bit ambitious, sure, but they know they needed to make the safe movie because they made the ambitious
you
movie and it went badly, so they needed to make the
you
safe
kind
movie.
of yeah. You need to let Mario be the safe one, so like Samus and Link and Star Fox can be the adventurous ones and do
Oh,
the
for sure.
different
I
things.
mean, the sequel is the spot where you start to do
Or the
weird shit.
sequel.
It's
Well,
funny. I
then
mean,
that's we're gonna talk about that with a different mascot from the same era
yeah,
in one of my later picks.
But yeah, that's the second one is where you get wild. Yeah, especially with something people are unsure about, which yeah, we will be
Wet
talking
and
about later.
wild.
Yeah. Where yeah, you have to make this. People just don't get that. No, the first one is not the ambitious. And it's funny. Speaking of the second one, I think they did officially announce it that they are making it. Um, but
I think so. Yeah,
I saw Danny DeVito wants to play Wario, and I want that.
I'm down.
In a world where Jack Black is Bowser, Danny DeVito as Wario is perfect. Like that
I
could
want that.
not be more perfect. I don't think is a more perfect casting
Wa-
than Danny DeVito.
Wario.
I'm Wario. That's my name. I'm Wario. That's my catchphrase. I'm Wario. Oh, I want it.
Like
I
I
want
so
it.
see it.
I want it. I don't even think you understand how much I want it. But no,
So,
but
anyways,
Chris Pratt. That was another bit of news that I cut out. But Chris Pratt was like he feels, and I agree that there's a whole universe you could build from this movie, and I completely agree.
oh yeah,
I think that yeah,
absolutely.
like yeah, you need a
Especially
again,
because especially because in this movie, Peach is like it's a big universe,
yeah,
which just leaves it open that like the
yeah,
Zelda
absolutely.
story is happening on a different planet, or like they've got the whole pipe, like when they're in between the pipe thing, where it's like it looks like it's like different galaxies and stuff. Like, yeah, absolutely, they've set up for
Exactly.
a Nintendo universe, and I'm ready.
But
I'm in fact more excited about their movie universe than I am about their games at this
right.
point.
I've got one final thing. I don't. Do you have anything final on Mario?
That's all. That's it for me on Mario.
Travesty didn't get nominated for Best Song purely because we missed out on seeing Jack Black performing it at the Oscars. Anyway, my first rapid fire is I figured you would bring up this one, but Prince of Persia. We both watched Prince of Persia, which was really
That's
funny.
yep, we did.
That was both like the first one we
That was going to
watched.
be the second.
See,
That was going to be the second one I brought up. So you've taken one of my rapid fires.
well, I figured we'd do it first. That way we could just lump them together, and it'll be nice because then we can save time, um, and just be like it's all right. I will say we watched that one with a mutual friend, mutual
Yeah,
acquaintance, and we agreed that there was one scene in there. Number one, the costume design. The costume design looked like the second one, Warrior Within, which was really cool. It was really authentic.
I like in that one when they use the dagger, how the like all the hieroglyphic and stuff on the
Yeah,
arm
it looks like the
looks
third
like
one.
it does in the third one.
Yeah, and when he goes in and when they're invading the city, and they do this bit where it like does this slow motion or like kind of thing where it goes through the area, and that's what it was like in
Yeah,
Sands of Time when you would enter an area, it would like do that little. It was just like the game, and we all had all commented it looked just like the game, and that's kind of a theme that it kind of I'm willing to accept story changes so long as you can get aesthetics right. That's gonna be kind of a theme for
yeah,
me.
to a degree, as long as it's not like 100. For me, it entirely depends, and that's the thing I kind of discovered watching this is how much I care for the aesthetics and the story changes and stuff. all comes down to how much I like the property that I'm watching.
That is also completely fair. I mean, yeah, perhaps maybe get a Persian guy to play your Prince of Persia. Like there's an entire scene
Hey,
explaining
whoa,
why he can beat
whoa.
Jake
He's
Gyllenhaal.
an he's an orphan, Justin. He's an orphan, so it's okay that he doesn't look anything like the rest of his
That
family or
that
is
that
Persian.
that was one of the funniest bits where it was like they have to add a scene to this movie to explain why the main character can be Jake Gyllenhaal. Otherwise, he's Jake Gyllenhaal. I think he wasn't like brown enough. I guess they couldn't brown him up enough to make him convincingly Persian looking. But they sure could with Ben Kingsley. Also, I just realized Ben Kingsley shows up in two of my movies. Dear God, Darren, he
Oh,
won an Oscar.
okay.
He won an. I need you to just remember that he won an Oscar. But that's all I have to say about Prince of
Oh,
Persia.
oh,
I
okay.
don't know if you have
Okay.
anything else to say.
I mean, I was gonna say that it's just
It's
when
it's
you see the
all
sands of
right.
time, it's like it's fun. It's fun being
Yeah,
like, hey, that's a thing from the game.
yeah.
But no, yeah, I mean, it's by far not the worst of the video game movies that I can talk about, and it's not the best.
This was one of those Jerry Bruckheimer
It's
movies.
it's squarely in the middle.
There's a run of Jerry Bruckheimer movies he made where he wanted to make a new Pirates of the Caribbean, and this is one of those. It was this, and it was the Lone Ranger, where he really wanted this to be a franchise, and you can tell, like they wanted to do the other two. They were gonna do the other two if this did well, and I think it did okay. Like it didn't do badly, but it didn't do exceptionally well. Not enough to,
It
to
did
warrant a sequel.
fine.
It did fine. Like it didn't do great. Anyway, I took
So
yours, so you
so
can.
was this mine or was this yours?
How many more do you have? If I with that, how many more do you have?
With so I had one,
Sorry,
two,
not
three,
sorry.
four.
Removing that. How many more do you have?
Oh, I have two more.
Okay, then you can go. You can go then, because I have two more as well. So you can go.
Um, Mortal Kombat 95.
It's so
Da
funny.
da 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 da.
I
They were
don't.
really going to get their usage of that sound because they evidently they paid a lot for it.
So okay. So here's my thing with that movie. I don't remember a thing from it, but I have a memory of putting it on once. So I think I put it on once and fell asleep and just never finished watching it. So I because I don't. The only thing I really remember about it is I can't stand the sound of Raiden's voice. He's got this raspy, like he sounds
Yeah,
like he smokes
he's got this
12 packs.
raspy like
It's
he's
awful.
he's talking kind of like this where he has
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, no, I don't really buy him as Raiden. But to be fair, that was very much an example for me of they really just none of the aesthetics in this really did it for
No, the
me.
only thing that's any
Um,
good that I know of, well, no, Scorpion. I know that Scorpion looks like Scorpion. And Goro looks cool. Goro looks sick.
Scorpion looks like Scorpion. Sub Zero looks like Sub Zero, or at least they look like they did in the first one.
Yeah,
Um, but it also kind of to me with my 2024 sensibilities, looking back at a movie from '95, it kind of just looks like bad cosplay.
yeah, fair. Yeah, the costume design's not there. It's not there. The budget's not being
It's
to make it
just
look
it's
good.
just no,
Um,
because when did Mario come out?
95.
So yeah, this is in that range of but bad video game
Yo,
movies.
for sure. Yeah, for sure. Um, um,
Um, I don't have a whole hell of a lot more to say about it.
no. Oh, what I was gonna say is
It exists.
ever since I played Mortal Kombat 9, that's kind of what I think of when I think of Raiden. So I don't, as much as I like that 2021 Mortal Kombat movie, I don't like Raiden in that movie either. I can't stand his voice in that. To me, he's got that booming, like, oh, I'm Raiden, like Superman.
I'm Raiden.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean, you know what he sounds like in those games. That's the voice I think of when I think of Raiden. That's the kind of
yeah.
attitude that.
What I just did.
Yeah, yeah. All right. My next one is Rampage. Rampage.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's
Um,
a video game that I remember playing as a kid.
the rock, and my big thing with that movie is, the big thing for me was I'm disappointed that they changed it because it was originally going to be closer to the original premise, which was turning people into giant animals. But they changed it, and now it's just turning animals into bigger animals. And so, like, it's just like the animals are so boring. Like, yeah, you've got George, the gorilla, but he's just a gorilla. And then you've got, Lizzie, but he's just a crocodile. And then you've got Ralph, and he's just a wolf. It's not very interesting. And I'm like, it would have been so much more interesting if you had just made it where, yeah, and you could tell at some point in the scripting process that characters in this would have become, like, The Rock was clearly going to be George, and he was going to turn into the gorilla. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is clearly the wolf, and then one of the scientists is clearly the lizard, and then we're going to turn into them and then fight. And, like, can you imagine how cool it would have been to have, like, The Rock turn into a gorilla? Like, that would have been sick. And, like, and even, like, if you think of this as an exercise to sell toys to children, a toy where The Rock turns into a gorilla? That'd be sick, right? That'd be so cool. And I'm just like, yeah. It's okay. As a movie, it's dumb. Like, it's like in that style of Rock movie where it's stupid and fun. Like, where like you turn your brain off, you eat your popcorn, and you don't think about it. It's kind of that kind of movie. But as an adaptation, oh yeah, that was the question I wanted to ask. Is this a good representation of the game? So, like, if you were to watch this movie, would this give you a good idea of the game? Like, does it make you understand the game? And so I guess we'll retroactively go
No.
back and to what was your first two again?
First
Remind
one
me.
was Mario.
So is that a good representation of the game?
Oh, hell yeah. Absolutely, that is.
And what was my first one? Prince of Persia. Prince of Persia was. We said it was.
We said
Uh,
that it was fairly good, yeah.
what was your second one? Sorry.
Then I did Mortal Kombat 95.
It is not. You said.
Not really, kind of, not really,
Kind of, but like the
not
original
really.
Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
Not your
yeah.
modern idea of what Mortal Kombat is. That's fair. That's fair. And then what was your one when you just did? What did we just do?
I just did. We just did. You did Rampage.
Rampage. It isn't. It isn't. And I think I think it would have been way more fun if it was humans as big gorilla fighting a big human as a lizard. That would have been way more fun. That would have been way more interesting. But it's otherwise a really dumb, stupid movie that's fun in that way. That's all I have to say about Rampage. Your next one. Oh, and yeah, it's not really a great representation of the game. Go ahead, Jordan.
My last one was one that I. So okay, well, it's funny when you look up video game movies. The big thing that comes up on a lot of the lists are different Pokemon movies. Um, but I struggle to count those because it's like Ash isn't the main character of any of the games, and the movie, like the anime and stuff, is kind of very different than the games. But it's like
That's fair. I
technically
I was
it is.
I was gonna do Detective Pikachu. Because you're right. I thought about that. I thought maybe I'll watch like an episode or two of Pokemon Origins because Red is technically the main protagonist of Pokemon Red and Blue. Um,
Oh, that would have been a good idea.
but then I was like, oh no, I'll watch Detective Pikachu. Because that is very specifically an adaptation of Detective Pikachu, a game, Detective Pikachu, which has a plot, and a story, and a
But I did cheat a little bit, so I did choose Pokemon the first movie, mostly because I wanted to talk about a bit of cut content from the version that we got as a kid. So for those who don't know, in I don't remember if it was in the original incarnation or if it was just cut content that they later released, but there's this whole short which basically shows the growth of Mewtwo, where it's like he's still in the test tube and everything, and you
yeah,
find out that the scientist is growing his daughter, I believe it is, and you see the
yeah,
three Pokemon that he chooses later when he fights Blastoise, Venusaur, and Charizard. You see them in their first evolution form of Charmander, Squirtle, and Bulbasaur, and they've got all the designs and stuff on them still, and so they're the same version. And it just shows all of them growing up and stuff. So it really it makes you understand why Mewtwo is the way he is in those later
yeah.
parts of the movie. Um,
Also,
and it's a fun little bit of cut content that not everybody may know about.
a lot of the weirdness from that it comes from the dub. Like in the Japanese version, Mewtwo's argument, I can't remember specifically what they are, but they're way more nuanced. And Mew is not a good guy. Like he's a bad guy.
He's not a not a nice guy.
Yeah,
He's very
he's
much like you
not
guys
a
are clones, and clones are evil, and yeah.
yeah. And so yeah, I can't remember what his argument is in Jap, but it's like almost completely different from the dub. And the Japanese version has that 15-minute prologue, which they did eventually dub and put on the DVD, I think. And yeah, it's quite sad. I love that movie. I love
It
that
is.
movie despite its flaws and its bad remake. I
Well, the
forgive the
thing that
bad
makes it
remake.
funny that I won't talk about the bad remake. But the thing that makes the original Pokemon movie funny is so they've got it on Crave, I believe is where I watched it. And so when I first watched it, I believe even in theaters, it had that short, the
Does it
Pikachu
not have
Adventure or whatever.
Does it not have the Pikachu short on there?
No, it doesn't have that
Really?
on there.
Ah, that's so
So
fascinating.
it just has the movie. So the movie by itself without that first bit, which obviously now knowing that there's this cut Mewtwo short that
Yeah.
was on the original, you now know that they have that Pikachu short to make it the same run length,
Yeah, I
right?
always thought that
So
Pikachu
when
short was
when
part of the runtime.
no, it's not on Crave.
Fascinating.
Um so when you watch it on Crave, it's only in like an hour and 16 minutes or an hour 10 or hour
Fascinating.
16, something like
Fascinating.
that.
Cause yeah,
So yeah,
to me that Pikachu short is akin to that Angela Anaconda short on the Digimon movie, and that Angela Anaconda short is part of the runtime. Like it's part of the movie. So I always thought it was part of the. That's so fascinating. Yeah, that's so interesting. Huh.
maybe it's supposed to be, but it's not on that Crave version.
You learn something new every day.
Um,
But anything
but
else to
so
say
yeah,
about Pokemon?
that's all I have to say about Pokemon. I just thought it would be interesting to bring up for those who didn't know about that short,
Yeah,
which
that's very
it's
interesting.
probably on YouTube.
Oh, it is. Yeah, that's where I saw it, and it is. It really is quite sad. I understand why they didn't put it in the movie because it would have been a weird bummer. I will say, I will bring up when it comes to Pokemon, the first movie, my memory of like that's one of those like, inside out core memory moments of like I remember watching that in theaters, being in the very like they talk about the Poke Flu where a bunch of kids like were sick and took the day off from school to go watch it on opening day, and we had the Poke Flu, and we went because I remember watching it opening day, like begging mom to go watching it opening day at Metrotown and standing in this massive line. And getting like the last tickets and being in the very front in like the very front corner and having to do this the whole time
Yeah,
and loving
I
it
remember that.
and loving it and
Loving
having
every
this
moment.
um,
Mewtwo was so cool. He's
Oh,
such a
he's
cool Pokemon.
he's so cool.
He's still one of my
God, he's
favorites.
so cool. But
He's
yeah,
so cool.
I didn't realize it was
He
on
was my
Crave.
character on Smash Brothers.
It's funny because I googled that movie to see what it was on, and it was like I was gonna have to download it, and I was like, I don't want to have to download it. It's not worth it.
It's the only one which is on Crave. That and I believe it has X and Y, something to do with X and Y. It has like three Pokemon things
I don't
on
think
there,
anything
and
has
one of them
all
is
of Pokemon on it.
I don't think so. No,
Um, but anything else to say about
but
Pokemon the
yeah,
first movie?
that's all I gotta say about that.
I'm going to defer my final rapid fire because I'm going to lump it into our big special YouTube video this week. Um, yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to defer it to when I do that. And I'm going to jump into main report. We're still workshopping the name. What did I call it last week? I don't even remember. The name's probably going to change each week. Heads up. We're moving into main
The
report time. And
the book report.
you could go first with your main have seen. I mean,
My main have seen or my first have seen
yes, your
is
first.
Wreck-It Ralph.
That movie's fun. That movie's super fun.
So I love this movie. I remember when it came out, and it was like all these video game characters on the big screen, and it was like, oh my god, it's that character. And it's a real like when he's going through the Game Central station, it's a real who's who of like I recognize that, I recognize that. Oh, it's that. Hey, it's that.
Okay,
Um,
I will. Okay, here's the thing. I'm gonna do a compliment sandwich. I love that movie. It's really funny. It's really fun, but I do feel like the IP is underutilized. I'm like, you have the IP. Maybe have the characters do more, participate in the story more than a mere walking cameo. Like a lot of these are just walking cameos, and it's like they're fun, but you could have done more. That's all I'm saying. That's my one thing.
I mean,
Underutilized.
I would agree that that's what you do with the sequel, but with the first one, you kind of have to, like we said, you have to walk before you can run. Um,
Sure, sure, maybe, but I think I don't know. Even if like we could have
also,
gone to
it's
one of their worlds, maybe a Mario world or a Sonic world. I don't know. It's just I wish they had participated more. That's. I mean, the
I
villains
don't
do a
I
decent
don't
job, but
disagree. I don't disagree. I think it probably mostly just came down to budget.
maybe I don't know. Yeah, or maybe it's just certain like that's what they would agree to do. Because I love the bit with Zangief, and I'm like that's the perfect amount for him. Oh, I'm so. I'm so sorry. Um, I'm like, that's the exact length for that joke, right? That works for me. I guess like
Yeah.
I want something. I wanted something more akin to Roger Rabbit. To me, that's the like benchmark for like how you do a cameo film movie of like the correct ratio of like original character to like cameo character of like
Hmm.
Vicky and Bugs are in that the correct amount. Like that's how
Hmm.
I. And I'm just like, yeah, I wish they were in it a bit more. That's it. That's all. That's my piece. That's my
Um,
hot take.
I don't
I,
disagree.
I don't think it's that hot.
That being said, the movie that we did get was very strong. The turbo twist at the end.
That is a pretty good twist.
Um, I I remember that kind of blowing my mind the first time I watched it.
I
Um,
can't remember. I can't remember. I don't think it got me. I think I was in my twist spotting phase at that point.
um, and that I'm never gonna forget when we went to Disneyland the one time. And I think it was roughly around the time when Wreck-It Ralph was still fresh, and they had the the Fix It Felix
Yeah,
games
yeah, they
there
did. Yeah,
that
yeah,
you could actually play, and they were hard.
yeah. That game's super fun.
Um,
It's the super fun. You can play it. I don't know if
um,
they still have it, but they had a playable version of it online at one point. You could play.
and so it's just yeah, it had everything that I love, um, in terms of that kind of story, and it's a good time.
That's what's really cool about that one. Yeah, that one is yeah. They made a fun game out of it. It's a genuinely fun game. Like I remember playing it at
Yeah.
Disneyland, and I played the online version of it. It's super fun. And it's hard. It's a hard
Uh,
game, but it's a hard in the way that games like that were.
yeah, like a classic Mario or a
Yeah,
classic, one of those ones. Um,
he's a
and then
believable character.
there's a lot of technical things in this that I could talk about too. I love the different animation styles for like when the Nicelanders are animated versus the other characters
Yeah,
where it's like they're very blocky and 2-bit.
yeah.
Um,
The way Fix It
or like
Felix
a lot
Junior
of
moves. Yeah, he moves like a 2-bit
like when they're
character.
in when they're in the candy world, and it's like speaking of Mario, it's like it felt like Mario Kart.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
Yeah, with a Candy Crush kind of
I
flavor
love
to it. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I love when they go to the factory or whatever, and it's like you see Beard Papa,
yeah.
and it's like I remember there being a Beard Papa store in Richmond Center, and I remember when we saw that, it was like, oh my God, it's Beard Papa.
I
Like
mean,
that's so random.
the Candy Crush go kart race. It really reminds me of. I might be taxing your memory on this one, but you remember Speed Punk? Everyone always says Cabbage Patch Kids, but it makes me think of remember Speed Punks?
PlayStation 1 game.
Yeah, Speed
They had
Punks.
big heads.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I
That's
have a
it.
vague memory.
Yeah, it was like we. I mean, even at the time we said it was a Mario Kart knockoff, but it was a Mario Kart knockoff for the PlayStation. It was fun. I remember it being fun, but it was very much a Mario Kart knockoff.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what it reminds me of. But yeah,
Um,
yeah, no, it is a very especially in Japan. I don't know that it's believable for a Midwestern arcade to have that game, but it's a very Japanese game.
my one thing about the movie, and this then extends into a further problem with the sequel, which we're not going to talk about. Um, but my one thing with so Flintlock has to know his games are alive, right? Like, so Wreck-It Ralph, the character, and like the two, they freak out, and then they come back and he's like, "Oh, cool." And then Ralph is like, "Yeah, we even got some of the guys from Cubert to come in and help us." And Flitwick isn't noticing that characters that don't belong in that game are suddenly in that game. That
Okay.
game, which has never had bonus levels.
First of all, remember how we earlier we were talking about fridge logic? That's what that is. Number one. Number two. I mean, maybe he's just that unobservant. I don't. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, this one. The second one's got way worse than that. There's way worse. There's way worse than
I
that. Like,
know.
did
That's
you
why I
not
say
notice that
that's what
Penelope just disappeared from the game? Like,
that's why. No, that I could excuse because they very much in the first one set up that has a roster of changing characters. So she
yeah.
just changed.
Okay.
That's part of the feature of that game. So
All
I could
right.
excuse that one away. Ralph does not have Cubert characters.
That is true. I mean, I got nothing, man. I got nothing. I got nothing. But no,
So
fun movie.
yeah, that's why I said yeah, it does extend into the second one where it becomes an even greater problem.
I still want.
Anyways,
I
that's
still want.
that's Wreck-It Ralph.
I still
That's
want.
Wreck-It Ralph. I want
So I was gonna say I still want them to do a spin-off where it's the Avengers, but it's the Disney princess characters.
yes, I want that too.
But
I was
I
gonna
want it
say I want
specifically
in
made
Kingdom
by the people who made that movie.
I want in Kingdom Hearts 4 when Sora is going to worlds that are on the opposite side of reality. I want him to go to a Wreck-It Ralph world.
Well, I mean, they did go to Wreck-It Ralph World in the mobile game, so it does exist.
No, not that. I want Kingdom Hearts, the actual
No,
game,
what I'm
to go to
saying,
that.
is it exists in the Kingdom
and
Hearts
and
universe as
and
a place.
I want it to be I want it to be on the opposite side of reality so that when he goes there and Ralph and them are all talking about how they're all in a video game, it makes Sora question his very reality and he starts to go crazy.
What I'm saying though is that it technically exists within the Kingdom Hearts universe, so it's a place they could go. So it's a world that could theoretically show up in Kingdom Hearts 4. Well,
I wanted to.
Wreck-It Ralph. I mean, it absolutely can. What am I thinking? Wreck-It Ralph is a summon in
He's
Kingdom Hearts
he's a
3.
summon.
Yeah, yeah. So obviously,
He's
there's
a,
a
he's a summon and he looks virtual. So like it could
doesn't
be
sure
that he
feel
was
stupid.
teleporting. Or,
That's embarrassing. Anyway,
so that's Wreck-It Ralph. That's my first pick. What's your first pick?
I picked Warcraft. And yes, I know you're gonna want to go to picking apart the story issues, which I think there aren't. I don't think I remember that you have a lot of issues. I know the main one is Gul'dan isn't right. We're gonna skip right to the end and just be like Gul'dan isn't right. That's not right. But
There's see the
but
problem is it's been so long since I've seen it, but
this is where I really want to hone in though on my point that as long as the aesthetics are right, I'm happy, man. Like that was a big thing I discovered when we get to the main thrust of my topic this week. Um, but like there's so much attention. Like you could tell that whoever wrote this movie and whoever was on the production and design team of this movie is at least familiar with World of Warcraft, has probably definitely played World of Warcraft at the very least, because there's so many unbelievable little details that are incredible.
oh yeah.
Like the opening credits are just straight up the music from when you log from the login screen. The dwarves
When it
the
runs across
Murloc
the screen.
when he's running to Goldshire, you see a Murloc and there's a Murloc. It's making the Murloc sound. The dwarves. The dwarves look like World of Warcraft dwarves, which look different from Lord of the Rings dwarves. And when they run, it's a dwarven run. They run the same way they do in the games. The griffins. The way the griffins fly. It's incredible. Yeah. Like they do that. They even do that thing. Like if you played enough World of Warcraft, you've seen enough animation of the stupid griffin flying, so you know it does the animation cycle where it flaps, hold, flaps, flat, and you've seen it 1,000 times. You've seen like hundreds of hours of it, and so the fact that they replicate it to a T in that movie, I remember when we watched it in theaters, it blew my mind at the time, and it blew my mind the other day when I watched it. It's like, yeah, the armor in Stormwind, it looks like Stormwind. Like it all looks right. Like it all looks right. but yeah, they sure fucked up Gul'dan. Like, and a lot of it is like, man, all I could see was like all of the stories that you could tell, all the other movies you could make out of this that would be interesting. Like oh, why can I never remember its name? But Varian Rin in the Gladiator ring, or even a
Yeah.
prequel where it's the lead up to where it's Rise of the Horde, like just doing a straight Rise of the Horde adaptation where it's like, yeah, you see the
I love
slow.
that.
Sorry.
The slow corruption.
Yeah, the slow
I said I
compromise.
love that.
Yeah, the slow compromise that the yeah, and yeah, that you really are. You're missing Nerzel. Nerzel is such a major part of that story, and he's missing from the movie, and to the detriment of that story. It just kind of jumps to the end of the orcs conflict already having happened on Draenor. And like, yeah, do a movie about
Yeah.
that, and you can, because the CGI on the orcs is phenomenal. Like, they're so expressive, they're so believable. Like, the fight sequences are so believable looking. It's a truly remarkable movie and just how it looks. And what was interesting is, while I was watching it, I sort of discovered how little I knew about World of Warcraft lore because I was reading about each of the characters. And it's like, yeah, the story is like they've condensed it. So it's like
Yeah.
they've taken like several what happens over several years and condensed it into like one movie. And so it's like, it's not
It's your typical
inaccurate, but
it's your typical issue of when you take a book and make it into a movie,
yeah,
where it's like
exactly.
in order to get to the point, they have to cut through a lot of build up and a lot of background stuff, and that's where it's like I'm a little bit better about this now than I was when we first watched this, where it's like I I understand why they make certain choices that they
Yeah,
do.
for sure.
It still bothers me, but I can let it go.
My thing is what they did with. I understand, like, obviously the movie needs a bad guy, and it's easier, but to be like, to have him fight Gul'dan. But there's enough conflict within the horde as it goes on between the orcs that you don't need Gul'dan to be the big boss. And he's much more interesting when he's in the background and he's manipulating stuff, and like him being out
Yeah, that's
front
kind
and
of
proud.
he's
That
not supposed he's not supposed to be out loud and proud until he's like
no,
at the height of his power when they can't do anything to stop it, and that's when he comes from the shadows and is like,
like, he's
I
not
was actually Palpatine all along.
exactly, like, he's not taking off his robe being like jacked and been in a fight. Like, that
No.
that bothers me. But yeah,
Not not until he has Archimonde standing behind him, like feeding power
yeah,
into him to the point where he's like, I can't be beaten. Okay, now I'll come and fight you because
exactly.
you can't do anything to stop me. Not
Or
like no, yeah, they
or
very grossly get Gul'dan wrong.
or like a Thrall movie, a movie about his escape from Blackhand.
Oh,
That
I would
also,
love to do
that'd be
that.
so good.
One of
It'd
the
be
ones
so good.
one of the ones that I would love to see them do, and I mean,
Lochno,
they're
Loch.
the
Ah, I'm trying to
visual
remember his name.
the visualness of it would be fun. Is I would love to see Arthas's story.
Yeah, yeah, or
His
Arthas. Yeah, that's another one that would be
fall
fun.
his fall to becoming the Lich King. Have the movie end with him. Literally have it end with him just sitting on the frozen throne, and
Yeah,
have it be that scene that they have in the book where it's his inner self arguing with the spirit of Ner'zhul, and it's like they're all wrestling inside of him. There's so many of the like, or
God,
the destruction of Dalaran, him going through Silvermoon to go for that. Like, there's so
right?
much
But my thing with
visually, and you have Kolthazad with him, who is a freaking lich, and you get to see the visualization of that in like realistic. There's so much cool shit
the
with
only
with
thing
with
the only
Arthas.
thing with Arthas that makes it hard is, yeah, they cut out Ner'zhul. And without how do you do it? Yeah, so you'd have to do again an orc prequel movie, which again I would totally watch. Maybe retcon some of the details. But yeah, my main point is ultimately that there's definitely, like, there's a love for Warcraft there. Like, there's so much weird specific, like, detail that they just get right in a way that
I
other
think I think Blizzard helped make it, and I think that's part of why they get a lot of those
yeah
details right.
yeah
As for how you would do that, the Lich King without Ner'zhul, what you do is, if you want to continue it in this universe, is you have the sequel be a prequel, which shows the rise of the Horde. You have it where Ner'zhul is there, and in that he gets destroyed by not Sargeras, not Archimonde. Kil'jaeden? No.
Killjade.
Which one was the one that corrupted them? Kil'jaeden?
Killjade.
You have it where Kil'jaeden essentially like fills him with so much power that he's destroyed. So Ner'zhul did exist, but he stopped existing in the time. Like basically, he's destroyed, or a spirit is taken or whatever, so that he's not there during the time period of the first movie that we've already seen, but
Yeah.
his spirit still exists and Kil'jaeden has control of it, so that he can then put it on Azeroth later on, and it's in the Frozen Throne like it is in the actual continuity.
I mean that, or conversely, I mean yeah, same idea, but Ner'zhul is Gul'dan now. You like replace Ner'zhul with Gul'dan maybe. But that also works. I definitely think yeah, do the next one a prequel, and then because they keep saying they're gonna make another one. Whether or not it's with the same directing and writing team is up in the air. But it did really well in China, like really well in China, enough to do it to get a sequel. So they greenlit a sequel. So they're supposedly working on it. And
Interesting.
my hope is for the Thrall movie. I'm hoping for the Thrall movie.
I mean, I'd be perfectly content
Um,
with that if we kept going forward with that. But I would also love if we did a Rise of the Horde one because I
but
love that story.
yeah, if for me, up to me, do a prequel, do Rise of the Horde, um, do introduce Kil'jaeden and have him be like your Thanos, like a shadowy figure who you don't see but you just kind of see the shape of, and then
Because from what I
have him
remember
be like your
of the lore,
culminating big bad, and then do like 2 or 3 movies. But they're nervous because they didn't do well
um,
here.
because from what I remember from the actual lore, when they come through the dark portal, Gul'dan is pretty much in control at that point. Like he's in the shadows, he's controlling
Yeah.
Blackhand, but he is like he's stepped out of the shadow of Ner'zhul, and Ner'zhul is like less of a thing. So like you could easily have it where Ner'zhul is a thing, and like he just comes into play later.
Well, the movie completely cuts out the Shadow Council, so there's no Shadow Council.
Uh, See, that just shows that it's been a while since I've seen the movie.
Yeah, I mean the key is you use the next one, you retcon. I would just retcon some stuff in the next one.
Yeah,
Love the
I
retcon.
would as well.
But yeah, loving Warcraft, Warcraft be nailing it, yo.
I love Warcraft lore.
We have to be cognizant of the time.
We do.
it is now 107. Just so
I
you
know.
know. Okay, good.
I
So
know.
with that, I'm gonna wrap up World of Warcraft. Well, what is your other half seen?
My other half seen is actually two movies, Sonic the Hedgehog 1 and 2.
Those are
Um,
very
I'm
fun
gonna I'm
movies.
gonna gonna blow through this pretty quickly. I really like them. They're good movies, and I
Yeah,
think that they are a great example of when a studio listens to their fans, they have a product which is stronger.
absolutely.
And two, I think that the Sonic the Hedgehog movies really learned the lesson from movies in the past that you don't start with like you don't start at a 10. You
Yeah,
start at a 3 and you work up to a 10.
for sure.
Um, so Sonic the Hedgehog 1 really reinforced and built up the idea of Sonic's power, Sonic's ability, and Sonic's backstory, and kind of putting him into there so there's the status quo. So
Yes.
that when you get to the second one, you can then get to the crazier stuff of, oh, now we can have Tails and Knuckles, and Robotnik goes crazy on the Mushroom Planet. So he's more
Absolutely.
like actual Robotnik. You can have the Chaos and Master Emeralds. I don't love that they've made the Master Emerald a combination of the Chaos Emeralds. That's
Yeah,
still a choice that I don't love, but I understand it. It's far easier to have one MacGuffin than seven.
pretty much. Yeah.
Um, 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 and also they waited till the sequel to have Supersonic, which was a smart choice.
Yes.
Getting to watch Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles all fighting the Death Egg robot, and Sonic going Super Saiyan, Supersonic,
Sick,
same
man.
thing.
So
Um,
sick.
still a thing where it's like when I
Oh,
saw it on the big screen, I was
oh,
like,
oh.
oh,
As a Sonic fan,
um,
yeah, man. It's funny.
oh,
It doesn't even take me back to like when I was. It takes me back to the first time I played Sonic Adventure 2. Like that's my Supersonic moment. That's
oh
the
yeah,
moment like where I was like,
oh yeah.
Supersonic is fucking awesome. That's the moment for me.
Um,
And that's where it took me right back there. I was like, oh, this is so sick, and this movie has earned it. uh,
now that being said, with the second one, they're not perfect movies.
no,
They
they're
have things in
not
them that I
perfect
would
movies.
change. The second one in particular, there's stuff with the human characters where it's like we could have had less of that.
Yeah, that
We could have had
franchise.
less of that and more of the Sonic characters.
Yeah, they have annoying intrusive human characters. We talked about the Transformers movies previously. Yeah, they put the Transformers movies to shame because yeah, there's that whole subplot with the wedding in the second movie that's like, someone out there, please, I'm begging you, make an edit where you cut that out, and it's just the Sonic character
Because
bits. Just
it's just not
cut it
really
out.
necessary.
It'll be interesting to
Um,
see how much James Marsden and the wife. Although to be fair, I like the wife. I like her interactions, particularly in the Knuckles show. I like her interactions with the Sonic Tails and Knuckles. They're really fun. I like their dynamic. It's in fact way
yeah,
more
I
fun.
mean, I like her. I like her and James Marsden.
Yeah, it's way more fun than James Marsden though. It's just because she's way more exasperated, I guess. Um, but it's really fun, so I like her, and I like James Marsden as well. He's not the boring character, man. The Knuckles show was rough. Um, but
I haven't watched that.
it's rough. If you don't like the human characters, it's rough. But no,
Um,
that was one where yeah, you could tell that the people making that movie like Sonic, like they like the thing they're
huh,
making.
man, that would not have gone over well. Sorry, I'm reading some behind the scenes stuff for for the two movies, and um, so prior to Marsden's casting for the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie, Chris Pratt and Jason Bateman were considered for the role. And if Chris Pratt had
Hmm.
gotten him, and then Mario, and then Garfield, man, the internet would
Wait,
have just
wait, wait,
grown to
wait, wait.
resent him more.
Chris Pratt as the voice or as the James Marsden
No,
character?
as James Marsden, I just mean
Oh,
being in like in one of those movies.
okay. But I could see it. I could see it, and I don't see Jason Bateman in
I
the
can
role that's
see
been
it.
written. I do not see Jason Bateman in terms
Um,
of like what the role as is written as the way it turned out.
as is written, no, I don't really see it
I
either.
don't see
But
it. I don't see how.
I just thought I just saw Chris Pratt and I'm like he was in Mario, he's in Garfield, and like if he had been in Sonic too,
Yeah.
I think people would have had even more of an
I
issue with that.
I do know that, yeah, one bit of trivia for the first one is that Supersonic was supposed to appear in it. The bit at the end where he goes, "This is my power," and he turns into like he goes all blue and electric. Yeah, he was supposed to turn Supersonic there, and then someone said to the director that they should hold off on it till the second movie because they're like, it's too much. You got to hold off, which I think was a good instinct. That was the right instinct.
And we're not even going to talk about Ugly Sonic because we just don't have time to dip our toe into that subject.
To ugly,
Um,
horrifying abomination that is Ugly Sonic. Ugh.
um, but overall, to sum it all, oh, and just Ben Schwartz as Sonic,
I love him
he's
as Sonic.
great. He's great.
The thing I love about Sonic is he's like one of those characters that yeah, different voice, different character, different performance. They all have their own nuances to them, and I love his take on the character. I love Ben Schwartz. I love his style. He's super fast and super funny.
I like all of them in those
Yeah,
movies. Like I
man,
like
I'm excited to see
Jim Carrey
Shadow.
as Robotnik is fun.
Oh, it was fun.
Um, Mr. Elvis,
Idris
whatever.
Elba as Knuckles.
Knuckles,
Yeah, that was phenomenal casting.
he's
I
great.
was skeptical at first, but man, he should prove me. That first trailer where he's like,
Me too.
do you think I need your power? Oh, good stuff, good stuff.
But they portrayed him correctly. He's a lovable idiot, which I
Yeah,
love.
yeah.
And I'm very excited to see Shadow, to see what they do with Shadow.
I'm very excited to see Shadow. I'm really hoping they play him
Especially
straight.
because
I'm really hoping they
especially
do.
because from what I remember from hearing, I believe they have basically confirmed that the third one is going to be Sonic Adventure 2.
More or less, yeah. They're like it's pretty close. It's taking a lot of inspiration.
Which I'm okay with. I'm
I'm perfectly fine with.
100% okay with.
Perfectly fine with that. Yeah, yeah, no,
So
yeah, it's pretty fun.
that's Sonic 1 and 2, and who knows, maybe when Sonic 3 comes out, I can think of a reason to talk about it on here.
So, okay, okay. So before we move into what is going to be our main YouTube video of next week, look forward to that. Um, I want to say about the Sonic movies. That yeah, again, even changing from Ugly Sonic, that's a franchise that understands that the small details and small aesthetics matter to fans, and they matter, and
Mhm.
they will make people look past what is an otherwise all right movie, which the first one very much was just an okay movie. My favorite thing that come out of
There's a
that
lot of
movie,
references.
my favorite thing to come out of that movie is all these screenshots of like the 3 James Marsden movie where it's him and a CGI character in a car because he did more than one. It was very weird, but it's a very funny picture. Um, and so I welcome you, Jordan, to the incomprehensible, the baffling and astonishing world of Uwe Boll. You know how, Jordan, when you think like of video game movies, the first thing you think is that it probably will be bad?
Yeah.
He's the reason for that. He's the reason why you automatically just get that sensation that a video game movie will be bad. Because he makes
Him
bad video game movies.
exclusively? No one else?
He's it's pretty much him. Yeah, yeah. Like if you look
Wow.
up if you were to look up bad video game movie in the dictionary, he'd be there in boxing gloves, ready to
I feel
box
like
you.
we might get in trouble for saying things of a defamatory nature like that.
I mean, no, it's the absolute. So his movies are truly perplexing. So we're gonna tackle this in parts. I'm going to do my last rapid fire, and then I'm gonna do my first one. We're gonna do these movies individually. So start off with. We're not gonna summarize them because I can't. They're incomprehensible, and most of them are super boring. I'm just gonna talk about them in kind of generalities, and I'm gonna try to do it fast. So the first one is Postal. It is an awful fucking movie. I think I came out and I said to you that it was the worst movie I had ever seen. That's hard to say now because I watched 3 other of his movies and they got progressively worse. But it's horrid. It's one of the most racist things I've ever seen. It's so unbelievably racist. There's horrid fat phobic jokes. Like part of the plot, it's the same plot as Postal 2, which is it's an unknown postal worker who goes nuts and his finds out his wife is cheating on him and goes nuts. And he winds up teaming up with his religious uncle, who is a charismatic uncle who is in charge of a cult, to steal uranium or something. To steal something, I don't remember what. It doesn't fucking matter. In order to prevent the Taliban from using the same thing to send anthrax or whatever the fuck around the country and take over America. And Osama bin Laden is there, and he has a perfect American accent and is best friends with George W. Bush. And there's a lot of really racist jokes towards Muslims that aren't very funny, but like are said with the cadence and rhythm of a joke. Like there's a lot of moments, and that happens a lot, where characters will say lines that have the cadence and like pattern and rhythm of like a badass line or like a one-liner or like a joke, but like aren't funny and don't have the format. So it's like da 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 da. You know, like that. You know how like that. You know what I mean?
So like a Duke Nukem joke.
Kind of, yeah, kind of. And so it's like a lot of that where it's like, yeah, it sounds like you think that's a joke, but it's not. Or there's ones his action movies where it's like da 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 da. Like there's a lot of that in Dungeon Siege.
Hmm.
But yeah, just really offensive. You know, there's the joke. There's a bunch of weird like offensive sex scenes with his wife who's overweight, whom he blows up at the end while she's having a 2-dude 3-way with a cop and some other guy, and the entire movie culminates and she gets blown up in like a spray of blood because she's too fat to get out of her trailer.
This sounds like a bad movie,
It's
Justin.
awful. It's awful. And like oh, I can't decide what to bring up this point. I guess now is as good a time as any. There's weirdly famous people in this movie who you go like, why are you in this? You make good stuff. And like all of these movies are all like beyond the point of like people know who he is. The only valuable thing in Postal is Uwe Boll is in the movie, and there's a scene where they say his name, so I now know how to pronounce his name. That's the most valuable thing in that movie. Otherwise, it's complete garbage. But it does have sort of that, like, there's a point where like a random celebrity cameo is there. So I don't know if you remember how in Postal 2 Gary Coleman was there, but so in this movie it's Vern Troyer. He's just there, and the people there's a mall meet and greet with Vern Troyer instead of Gary Coleman in the movie, and it's really bad. It's a really bad movie, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe he just doesn't get Postal. But then the guy who created Postal shows up to tell Uwe Boll how much he hates what he's done with Postal, which means he knew what this was and was just okay with it. Very weird, very strange, awful movie, upsetting and awful movie. So sorry. I'll finish my. You know what? No, we'll do it. We'll do it at the top of Dungeon Siege. Sorry. That's my last rapid fire. What is your first? Oh no,
All that's left for me are the have not seen.
right. Sorry, I forgot. So that's my last rapid fire. That was that was Postal. So Dungeon Siege. Um, a big thing for me with this is there's a lot of really famous people in these movies, and you're like, what? How? Why are you in this? How are you in this? Why are you in this? Because
You're too good for this.
you're too good for this, and we're already at the point in his career where you know who he is. Like, for in terms of Dungeon Siege, he's made Alone in the Dark, he's made Blood Rain, he's made House of the Dead. Like, he's made all of the really bad, like considered one of the worst movies. You're like, why are you in this? And you're like, well, you said, oh, it's for the paycheck, right? But no, because when you're like, how so someone would have had to taken this to, for example, in the name of the Dungeon Siege movie, it's got Jason Statham, Burt Reynolds is the king, it's got Matthew Lillard, Ray Liotta is there for one day and he's just in a room, like literally, he's in one room the entire movie and he never leaves it. So it just comes across that they got him for like a day. And yeah, it's got Jason Statham.
I could believe that.
It's got Ron Perlman is there, and there's one more famous person. But and then Postal J.K. Simmons shows up for some reason, just randomly in the middle of it.
Yeah, but J.K. Simmons will be in anything.
Yeah, okay, but you're like, okay. You're like, okay, maybe it's for the paycheck, but like these people like flew out, did like costume fittings, choreography, did action sequences. Like Matthew Lillard is like they made this in BC. Like a lot of his movies were shot in BC. The entirety of like a lot of his movies were shot in BC. It's incredible.
I'm I mean, some famous actor whose name I can't remember at the time, at this moment in time, but I know was said by someone, has once said that nobody ever thinks that the movie they're going to be in is going to be bad.
Right,
You go into this under the assumption that it's going to be a good movie, and then months after it comes out, when someone else tells you that the movie that you were in was bad, because let's be honest, you're way too famous to sit down and watch your own movie. Then you're like, oh, I guess it was a bad movie. Oh well, I'm laughing all the way to the bank with my paycheck.
But that's the thing where I get to astonishing is that, like, you're like, okay, these movies don't make money. They all bombed horribly, so they're not really making a lot of money on like residuals or anything. So like, and like they're all putting in horrid performances, and you're like, oh, wow, you've all been in good stuff. Like you've all been in, like at this point, like every one of these actors has made good stuff. And we've sort of lost the thread of are these good representations of the games? I didn't ask you. Warcraft, yes, it is. It is a good representation of it. I don't remember if we asked it for your last one. These are not. These are not.
Wreck-It Ralph isn't a game, so
Right.
I can't say. Well, I mean it is. We played the arcade game, so yes, it is.
Yes, it is. We'll say yes. These are not. These are not.
And the other one.
More
What was my last one? Sonic.
is, I would say, aesthetically anyway.
Yeah, I would say it is. I would say it is on the adventure games.
So So for Postal, it is a reasonable representation of the chaos that is the Postal 2 game that I played. Like, I haven't played all of them, so I can't speak to all of them. This isn't, but I don't know if that's in this case his fault. Mostly just because Dungeon Siege is a real blank slate of a game, where it's really about what you put into it. I'm like, is it an accurate adaptation? I don't know. I don't remember who's the final boss of that game. I don't remember who the bad guys are. I don't know who you fight in that game. But I sure as shit remember the adventures I had with my friends. Like, I remember
Yeah,
playing that.
that
Like,
that game is very much it's not about the destination, it's about the friends we made
yeah,
along the way.
exactly. And the stuff I like about that game is mechanical. Like, I love how you can pick up any weapon and build your stat build in any direction you want just by picking up a weapon. You can be like, oh, do I want to be good at swords? Let's pick up a sword and start swinging a sword. Or you want to be a magic guy? Pick up a spell, start shooting spells. Like, I love the flexibility, and that, going back to World of Warcraft, is what led us into our love of World of Warcraft. That's why we love World of Warcraft. We love that flexibility. That's what I remember. The only thing I really remember, because from the thing I remember sticking out as being accurate, was how the bridge was knocked out. Because in the original
Yeah,
game,
yeah.
the bridge was knocked out. But other than that, yeah, it's just they're really bad performances. Ray Liotta is really hammy. The only one who gives any form of a shit is Matthew Lillard. He's having a great time. His movies fail not just on like they're the movies that make me go, yeah, I know what filmmaking is, and man, this is bush league amateur shit. Like, the action sequences are like visually incomprehensible. Like, man, you can't see what the like, they're called Krugs, I think, but you can't see what they look like because either the camera won't stop shaking, or it's blurry, or it's at night, or it's raining, or it's muddy. You can't see shit. You can't see anything. So, like, it's boring. It's not fun to watch, and then the dialogue is no one gives. There's no enthusiasm, no interest, no investment, and it's dull. And, like, he thinks his audience is stupid, so every one of his movies, there's just long sequences of characters just explaining everything to you. It's like everything. We're gonna get to
Hmm.
Alone in the Dark. Don't even worry about it. But just explaining just
I wasn't.
everything. And yeah, it was bad. I remember being complimentary to it the first time, but it was like, yeah, it is a truly remarkably terrible movie, that he was allowed to make and that he didn't lose any money on, for reasons we'll get to later. But those are the two Uwe Boll movies I had seen. That begins our first steps into the baffling, astonishing world of Uwe Boll. That is part one. Now on to the stuff we hadn't seen. Jordan, what is the first thing you hadn't seen? What video game movie
The
hadn't you
first thing,
seen?
the first one that I chose was the 2018 Tomb Raider movie, which is based off of the 2013 video game of the same name. Um, it takes elements from the sequel, from the third installment of the Tomb Raider film theories. It takes stuff from the first game. Like, it's a real mesh of Tomb
Interesting.
Raider stuff, apparently, according to Wikipedia.
Interesting. I thought it
Um,
was just a pure adaptation of the first one. I didn't know that it was multiples. I didn't know that. Interesting.
according to this, it takes elements, yeah, from the second game, some elements of its sequel by Crystal Dynamics,
Interesting.
and the third installment in the Tomb Raider film theory series.
Oh, interesting.
But as far as movies go on its own, I mean, it's a pretty standard, adventure hero goes, finds mysterious island where a mysterious thing is that other mysterious bad guy wants for mysterious reasons,
Yeah.
and dad is there, and dad was lost for years, and yada 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 yada. If you've seen an Indiana Jones movie, played a Uncharted game, played a Tomb Raider game, they're all the same. You know them, I know
Watched
them. I'm not gonna waste my time going through the plot by plot detail. It was
watched
fine.
it. Watched an Uncharted movie. Yeah, that's another one that, like, I haven't seen it, but from the trailers and the and
It looks like the game.
all it sure as shit looks like the game. And that, for me, look, that's the bar you have to clear. That's it. That's all you gotta do. You just look like the thing. As long as you look like the thing, I mean, if you look like the thing and you're interesting and fun to watch, that's a bonus. But like, start from the point of like at least looking like the thing. Like it'll
So
make you.
to answer your question that you didn't ask, but you were clearly building up to, yes, this does feel like a good representation of the 20, specifically the 2013 Tomb Raider game.
That question's gonna get harder for me to answer because my I haven't actually played, and I didn't bother to look up any gameplay. I just kind of Wikipedia articled it to get a rough idea of what the game was. But anyway, anything? Did you have anything else to say about that?
Gee, not really. Like I said, it's a pretty paint by numbers book. Had a budget of 90 to 106 million, and it did a box office of 274.7
Yeah,
million.
it was
So
a
it did pretty
modest
good.
hit. It was a modest hit. Yeah, all of these bombed. All of these bombed. I'm not gonna waste your time with boring you with box office numbers. Um, so
But
my
that's
first
Tomb
time
Raider.
seen in our continuing saga that is the wacky world of Uwe Boll, is Alone in the Dark, widely considered to be one of the worst movies of all time. And just very it was remember how I think I was telling it took me 2 days to watch it because the first day it's so boring. It's so boring. It's the action is boring, the action is dull, the cinematography is dull, like boringly shot, the dialogue is bad. Christian Slater is in it and you're like, Christian Slater, why are you in this? This is another one where I'm like, you've made good movies. Why did you agree to this? Like why did you? I don't. And yeah, the plot doesn't make any sense. It's about like it's one of those. There's a tribe of Indians who were advanced society, and they were trying to fight an evil lizard people who are coming from another dimension. And certain human. Remember how I said there are sometimes there's zombies and sometimes they're alien creatures. I struggled to pay attention to it because I couldn't. I kept checking out, and I'm like, I need to watch this, and I just couldn't. But the zombies that I saw were actually people who made a deal with the lizard people to be the lizard things like servants, so they would live, and then return the lizard things gave them superpowers, and that's why. And as for if it's a representation of the game, as near as I can tell, it's a loose adaptation of the fourth game. But otherwise, no. The only thing that's consistent is the character that Christian Slater plays is the main character of the game. And from what I can tell, it's basically a survival horror game. So kind of like OG Resident Evil style game. I'm familiar with it. I've never played it, but I am familiar with it. Apparently, it's funny. I saw a video today. There's apparently a remake that's just come out. That's a remake of the first game. That's apparently quite good. But yeah,
Interesting.
just a lot. It's a lot of the same shit. It's just Butch League and amateur, just bad. It's a movie that makes me go, yeah. It's the kind of movie that makes me go, yeah. I recognize what bad movies are. This is a bad movie. This is a badly made movie. Like, I think I don't know. There feel like there's other actors, famous actors in there other than Christian Slater, but that's not even the most baffling one, which we're gonna get to next. But what is your final one you hadn't seen?
Final one that I hadn't seen, I actually did two. Well, most of two. Um, so the first one was I watched short version. I watched two Street Fighter movies. I watched Street Fighter Alpha, and I watched most of Street Fighter 2, the animated movie. Um, I watched the Street Fighter 2 one because I was confused by the Alpha one because I sort of became aware that I don't really know a lot about Street Fighter
Yeah,
other than the kind of basic kind of things.
certainly didn't know it had like
So
this
I'm so,
deep
well,
lore.
no, me neither. So while you were kind of just talking about your previous one, I was just kind of reading a little bit about the Alpha one just to kind of familiarize myself because I just had no. So it was based off of. So you know how the Street Fighter 2 animated one is based off of the movie. It's Street Fighter 2.
Yeah.
Alpha is based off of Street Fighter Alpha 2.
Oh, okay. And yeah, obviously that came out
So
after Street Fighter 2.
it came out in 2000.
Uh,
Um, so it's based. That's why the story was so confusing to me, is because it's based off of it's a different game.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, but basically, in the alpha, It's all about Ryu's master has just been killed by Gokin, who I guess is his sensei's brother. No, not Gokin. Gokin is his master.
Oh, Akuma.
And it's Akuma. He gets killed by Akuma,
That I knew.
and so Ryu is struggling not to fall to the dark ho Hokai, whatever the power that they use is. Key, I guess.
Yeah.
Dark key. And people are trying to harness the power, and then what I think is his brother shows up. It's a long lost brother shows up, but I'm not actually sure if it was actually his brother because I got to be honest, it was kind of a dry movie, and I had a hard time keeping focused on it, which is
Which
why I I was then like, well, maybe I've heard good things about the Street Fighter 2 movie, and maybe I'll go watch that. And I watched most of that. I ran out of time, but um,
would you finish
I
it? Will you
did have
finish
an
it?
easier. Yeah, I'm probably gonna go finish the last 20 minutes after we're done this.
Yeah.
Um, but it had more characters that I actually like recognized.
Yeah.
So like, you know, Blanca and the sumo wrestler one and the one who is like he uses mind powers and I think he's an Indian or
Uh,
black.
doll song. Saw.
I'm not, yeah, I don't know. I just know that he does meditation as part of his thing.
I know who you're talking about.
Um, or M Bison,
Yeah.
or like they had all the ones that like I actually knew,
Yeah.
and even then I barely know them. I kind of like I've seen them in arcades before.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of my frame of reference with Street Fighter, where it's like I know them from arcades. I've played this in an arcade once or twice.
It was
I
funny.
didn't know that, for example, I didn't know that Chun Li was a Interpol police officer. No
Yeah.
idea, not a clue.
What's funny is for years I thought that Street Fighter 2 was the first one. Like I knew it was Street Fighter 2, but it just never occurred to me that there was a Street Fighter 1. And I can't remember when the first time I saw Street Fighter, I was like, "There's a Street Fighter 1?" And it's just kind of I was like, "Oh yeah." And then it's just
That's
intellectually
because
you're like, "Yeah, it's technically Street Fighter 2. Obviously, there's a Street Fighter 1."
yeah, it makes sense. Street Fighter 2 was just it like it perfected the game, and
Pretty
so it's just
much.
for the longest time that was like the definitive version of Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Uh, but I mean the one
Which is
that's
the
based
better
on
movie?
2.
Which is the better movie?
Well, it's hard for me to say that because I didn't finish 2, but based off of what I've seen, I would say 2.
That's what I had a feeling you'd say.
Um, but that's because and maybe this is because it's the second one, so the characters aren't as well established. I don't know, but it really just it the alpha kind of feels like it expects you to know who all these characters are and what's going on and what the
Right.
world is and what's happening and like everything. Whereas with the second one, it kind of less feels like that to the point where it's like there's lines of dialogues which are so 90s, like feeding you information in the most 90s way possible kind of lines.
Yeah.
Um, the Street Fighter 2 one reminds me a lot of the Tekken OVA that I talked about on here before.
I can see what you're saying.
Difference being that I know about Tekken 2 and I know the characters and I know all that backstory,
Fair.
and I don't know this one.
So okay. So do okay. I'm gonna ask one last question, unless you have anything further you wanted to say about Street Fighter 2.
That's pretty much it.
Um. So here's a question with a little bit of lead up. They're making a live action movie. Would you go watch it? Now that you have some background on Street Fighter and you know there's a story to be had. Now that you're familiar with the story, anyway.
Yeah, probably I'd watch it eventually. I don't know if I'd watch it in theaters, but
Fair enough, because they're making it. It's coming. They've announced it. It's coming.
because my thing with it is it kind of just evolves into your stereotypical like martial artist has super strong thing that he needs to go and fight, and it's paint by numbers
Look, as
story.
long
It's
as the
not
martial art looks good, that's all I care about.
like they're in the street, they're fighting,
The Street Fighter.
they're street fighting.
All right. So is that it? That's your last one for this week.
Yeah, it's fine.
All right. Okay. My final one. We're gonna keep this. We're gonna keep this brief because
It's no Tekken,
it's
but
not
you
Tekken,
know.
My final one is a movie called Blood Rain,
which is based off of a movie or a game called Blood Rain, which is a 3D PlayStation 2 or 1, I think maybe era hack and slash. Kind of think Bayonetta, but with like she's a vampire. That's the premise of this, and it's going to be a lot of the same bullet points as before. Ben Kingsley is in this movie, Jordan. Ben Kingsley, Oscar award-winning Ben Kingsley, flew out to Romania on the dime of a relatively unknown German director who self-funded these movies, Jordan, using a German tax break. We're not going to get into that. We don't have time. He somehow convinced Oscar award-winning actor Ben Kingsley to be in this movie, and he's fucking terrible. He won an Oscar. You're like, what are you doing here, Ben Kingsley? And this is the one where one of the actors was, if you hear any trivia anecdote about Uwe Boll, is that this is the one where Michael Madsen, who I don't know what you know him from, but you would know him if you saw him. He showed up so drunk that they had to ADR over his lines because he was so incomprehensible.
Wow.
And they ADR'd over him with a different guy. It's got Michelle Rodriguez in it, and she's doing a British accent for some reason. There's a very bizarre and out-of-nowhere sex scene for no reason. It's weird and violent. Oh, that's another thing with Silent, or with Alone in the Dark. It's weird and violent. Like, it's super graphically violent for, like, no reason, and not in a way that's fun or entertaining. They're just, like, bad movies. They're bad movies that just... And just really to wrap up, okay? What's incredible about Uwe Boll is he eventually moved on and became an award-winning restaurateur. And he opened up several... he opened up several restaurants. Let's stay on point. He opened up several restaurants that all won a ton of awards, and he was highly successful as a restaurant owner. So, if you're ever like, I'm not good at this thing, just know that there's something else out there for you. You should quit. You should quit right now. Stop doing the thing you're bad at and do the thing that you're actually good at. And there is something that you are actually good at. In this case, it was running award-winning restaurants.
Thank you. That touches me right there.
You could become Uwe Boll.
I'll go quit my job and become an award-winning podcast host.
Also, you could just threaten to box every single one of your critics like he did. I'm really hoping that I can find footage of that I can edit it into this when I eventually make this into a YouTube video. I'm really hoping. But yeah, man, just awful. Another one of those, like, man, it felt like we're like Alone in the Dark. I tried, but it was the dialogue is so boring. It's so boring. There's no enthusiasm. It's not interesting. The action's not fun to watch. So, like, your attention just wanes, and it's so forgettable. And it's just it's like the writing is so awful and basic and terrible that you can't remember it well enough to summarize it. So I couldn't tell you a fucking thing that happened in these movies that I just watched. I can't. I don't remember because I struggled to either stay awake through them or pay attention to them. It was awful. I had a bad time. Video game movies are sometimes bad, you guys. They're mostly bad. Most of the it was either this or the Assassin's Creed movie, which I'm pretty sure I've only seen half of.
Did they hurt you, Justin?
They hurt me. They hurt me a lot. I'm upset.
Did they hurt you in here?
They hurt me in here. But with that,
it's okay.
It's okay. Let's talk about next week's assignment, Jordan, because the next week's assignment is it's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. Which means, Jordan, pick a movie, pick something, pick whatever about the end of the world. Maybe you want to do a zombie apocalypse. Maybe you want to do the robot aliens took over. Just so long as it is either about the world ending or the world has ended. That is your criteria. Do with that what you will.
Get creative. I'll have to think on that one.
Get all of the creative. And join us next Sunday. We are doing Sunday next week. I have other commitments on Saturday, so we will be doing this on Sunday.
Good to know. Thanks for letting me know, podcast host.
You're welcome. I did let you know, and you said okay.
Did I?
Yes, you did. Anyway.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us
Fair
for another
enough.
episode. Thanks for Trophy Smack. This episode has been very rambly. I apologize for the rambly nature. I also apologize for all the technical issues. It's another character. Editor, fix the tech issues. Editor, we have an editor
I don't.
now.
I don't. I don't apologize for any of it. I'm unapologetic.
That's true. It's a character now. It's part of the show. Part of the show. Jordan, where can the audience find you when you're not here?
I do Twitch on Zethgore187. I do Minecraft Mondays. Maybe if people actually show up, I'll do more days again. I used to do 7.
He did used to do 7. Now he doesn't.
Now I do 1.
Maybe he will again. Who knows? You can find me on TikTok. I'm on TikTok. All the again descriptions, links. We have a show TikTok you can follow, which is just short clips from this. I created it yesterday.
More digestible clips.
Yeah, more digestible clips. The shorts that are on this page, they're also on TikTok. If you want to see those on TikTok exclusively, they are there. You can follow us there. All 29 of you. No, 31. We're up to 31. All 31 of you can check us out there.
And the editor fixed those ones so they don't have all the technical issues that are featured here.
Exactly. So you can check us out there. You can email the show at itsjustinsbusiness@gmail.com. Just don't be weird, please. Don't send me weird emails. I don't want to see anybody's genitals. Please. No genitals. You can get contact with there. Follow us on Discord. I try my best to keep our Discord link updated because it expires every 7 days for some stupid reason. But follow us there. Leave suggestions, comment, do all the things, interact with the videos. Tell us, suggest topics.
It helps the algorithm.
Suggest movies. We'll see you guys. Next week.